Wait, why is it over here? Hold on. Oh my god, why does it keep doing that? Hold on, there has to be a way. Why does it keep switching? Hold on, I wonder. Does it have something to do with like switching scenes? Why does it keep doing that? Because I had everything over here, and then when I start the stream, it switches from the main monitor to the secondary monitor. Huh, I have no idea why it does that. But we're going to fix that real quick. Okay, so that stays here. And then I want the web browsers that we're going to be talking about today over here. Okay, there we go. And then let me actually fix this to the window. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know. I still haven't figured out why it does that. Why it switches videos like that, or video screens like that. But how is everyone doing today? Hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday. It has been a while. And with light of news with Mutahar, if you guys have actually been keeping up with YouTube drama, Mutahar has came out with an apology based on a 3-year incident. That, like, was it really 3 years ago since that whole Nux Taku thing like popped up? Because man, that was like a long fucking time ago. I feel old as fuck. But ever since like he came out with an apology video and he hit like a little coward, a lot of people start weighing in their opinion on the Mutahar and Nux Taku incident with some various takes. Some continuing the narrative that anime is CP for some reason, despite the fact that they literally see the hypocrisy this man is actually saying within that narrative, which also means you gotta be careful about what the fuck you're saying, because I'm starting to like understand why there are so many people with like this hypocrisy, but it's like the most blatant ass fucking hypocrisy. It's not even just like a oops, I did it again, I didn't mean to do that. It's more of like I've done this for like years, and because some people are interpreting anime as softcore CP, that means I need to be on board in order for me to like protect myself. And I think that's the main incentive as to why you have a lot of these YouTubers like really heavily focused on the idea of like fictional characters, but they're not really concerned with like actual fucking children. In scenarios such as Islam, where their pedophile god Muhammad literally advocates for you to, well, their followers, which is part of Allah's commands. He wants you to follow their commandment, their prophet Muhammad to the utmost degree. He actually does want you to condone like child marriage and having sex with children, because they do find that type of phenomena a beautiful fucking thing. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about cartels. And no, I'm not talking about the type of cartel videos that that Mutahar's into. Hey, how's it going, Zilla? Where, you know, he's watching innocent civilians having their heads eviscerated. I'm talking about like actual reports of like the 600,000 children that are missing from the Biden's administration's kerfuffle with the border. No one wants to talk about that, but everyone wants to focus on, you know, the two dancing children up here that could more than likely kick your fucking ass if they really wanted to, if they actually existed. But yeah, it's a really weird phenomena, especially, and this is why I encourage, and this is the one thing I noticed, like Anti-Loli does not under no circumstances suggest, read up on pedophilia. I'm being serious when I say this, guys. As a person who had his political awakening back in 2020, didn't understand socialism, didn't understand critical race theory, was freaking out about it because, the right was freaking out about it. And then I started trying to engage in like conversations with those who actually read it, and I ended up looking like a fool. And then I said, well, let me read up on it. And then after I read up on it, I can succinctly argue that critical race theory and socialism is inherently wrong, and I could actually back that up. And I could actually stand on my 2 feet, as opposed to back then when I didn't read or understand anything about like Karl Marx or Mussolini or Antonio Gramsci or Mao Zedong or anything like that. I would really suggest reading up on pedophilia, because the thing that I've noticed about pedophilia is in the word itself, right? It's in the same realm as racism and fascism. People know what it is, but they don't know what it is, nor can they define what it is. And that's because there are entities or parties where they do want to water down the term, where you can't succinctly identify it, because when it's watered down, no one can properly identify it. If you can't properly identify it, well, you can't stop it, right? You can't really stop fascism, because no one knows what fascism is. You can't stop racism, because we have a modern definition of racism, which is prejudice plus power, instead of the traditional term definition of racism, which is racial superiority over racial inferiority. And based on that new definition, prejudice plus power, it causes a lot of confusion, to where racism is, it's not necessarily, it can't be defined, but it's definitely weaponized in a way where blacks can be racist simply because they do not have any shape or form of power, which is basically a white supremacist wet dream, if you say it like that, which gives them the justification to just basically do whatever the hell they want. So, a black person could just go out and say, that black person's over there a pet N-word, or, some stuff like that. Or, white people are all male monkeys, and, other derogatory terms, and they can justify their racial epithet toward white people for just small infractions of like microaggressions, like looking at you the wrong way, and by looking at you the wrong way, I mean, like, you're in a society where people expect you to behave with a certain decorum, and you want to bring your hoodlum type of culture into that type of decorum that does not accept that decorum of behavior. I don't like Nux, but I do agree that Mutahar threw Nux under the bus. Yeah, he basically did. He basically did. And that's why I say, like, a lot of this, like, pedo jacketing, definitely needs to stop, because as I'm reading about pedophilia, it's not something as easy as, like, a person defending, well, actually, no, a person defending cuties is actually outing themselves as a fucking pedophile. I think that's something we can all agree. But it's not as easy as being a psychologist over a camera and a laptop and viewing someone's video and something that you do not want to understand, such as like loli. Like loli in terms of art is a very objective, subjective form of interpretation, where one can interpret what is seen before them, but they're right, but they're also wrong. So they can't be 100% right, but they can't be 100% wrong. Like, say, for instance, Midna, who is a known loli, Midna from Twilight Princess, who's literally a imp. but she's a loli because she's short and thick. Culturally, that is the definition of loli. So you have a cultural definition, which is basically those who are within the culture of anime, like they actually appreciate anime. Loli means short, stack, thick woman, or petite woman. That is all it fucking means. All these people that's doing all this deep dive about Lolita, but they don't want to bring up the fact that that book was actually written by a Russian author for some reason. They want to make sure that the name itself is somehow, without saying it, tied to Japan's origin, without saying that it was actually written by a Russian author. We just need to get out of this pedo jacketing thing, because again, it's not as simple as like looking at someone's video and saying, oh, this guy's into this, so therefore he's a pedophile. Or because with all the studies that I've been reading and all the articles I've been reading, pedophilia is not just pedophilia, but acts of violations of the bodily autonomy of children is not always based on a sexual preference for prepubescent children. And that's the one word that I was call up the Anti-Loli Coalition for completely obfuscating out their definition. They completely leave that word out. And I feel like that's intentional, but at the same time, just to give them some leeway, they've been societally trained that way to leave that word out, because prepubescent doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely as child or minor, right? So that's why they always leave the word prepubescent out. I don't think it's necessarily nefarious, but I do find it quite interesting that most people of the anti-loli position doesn't necessarily refer to studies of pedophilia, and they refer to spitballing in videos and trying to armchair diagnose people online. Which ain't gonna really help anybody, because that makes you guys look even more sus. At least some of these people have acknowledged Mutahar, Hypocrisy, and Loli. Yes, that is true, but some people have also sticked to the narrative that Loli is still CP, and they can't make a differentiate. They can't differentiate examples such as like Keemstar's daughter drawn in a lewd manner as an actual example of CP, but they can't separate that from like actual fictional characters, people that don't exist, where it doesn't create a market of demand to actually have sex with like prepubescent children. And there's also another thing that I noticed that Anti-Loli completely leaves out, is that pedophilia, and this is what actually proves like Loli is not CP, and those who watch Loli are not inherently predators or pedophiles, is pedophiles have a preferred age, and they have a preferred body type. And I do have several examples and several articles that we're actually going to get into that actually exemplify this example, that they do have a specific age. And a perfect example that actually exemplifies this is Islam. Like in the Middle East, those of Islam, and in the Middle East, where the men use their riches to basically buy child brides from poverty-starved families who are desperate looking for food. And if they actually have females of certain ages that is prime for their preferred age of being able to have sex with, they would actually negotiate with those families in exchange to marry the child and then to have sex with them when they are of that age. And typically what happens is when that child goes beyond that age of that preferred age, that person ends up losing interest in that particular person. They don't have like a sexual connection or like some type of love or affection for that person. It's merely and purely that age and around that, I don't know what it is, just like some type of psychological thing. It's that age and that body type. And I guess like what that body type actually has that they're so attracted to, which actually exonerates people who watch Loli, because, you know, people who watch Loli, their interpretation is short stack woman, which doesn't make any sense because a woman is someone who is above adolescence, you know, above the age of 18. So if they're saying it as a woman, they're not looking at it as a prepubescent child. Therefore, it cannot be that they can't be pedophiles because they don't have a preferred age, because their age is literally 18 plus. You can literally imagine it however the hell you want. And a lot of people in the Anti-Loli Coalition will say, well, that's just bullshit. You can't sit there and tell me exactly what the hell you want this character to be. This character has to be of this age, and it can only be of this age, which is stupid, because then it's not fiction, because the whole idea of fiction is to create a bubble of escapism to where you can create your own worldview and you can make up your own rules and logic that only operate within the realm of fiction, right? It only operates within the realm of fiction. It does not operate in the realm of reality, so long as it makes sense to you and those who agree with you that it's perfectly permissible. And for those who do not agree with that perspective and they cannot see or understand that perspective, I think it's best for you to just leave that shit alone. I just leave it at that. But that's the problem, you know. The people that can only see a square, right? They want you to only see squares because they're square. And that's all a square should function as. It shouldn't function as anything else. But for those who actually see the square, and they see more than just the square, and they can transform that square into however they see fit. And I think that's like, especially when you look at it in terms of like the discussion of Loli, I think that's where, hold on. Oh my god, I hate this fucking capital. Oh, like choking myself. It's like, I think that's like the root cause of where all this friction is again, art is subjective, and because it's subjectivity, no one's right, but at the same time, no one's wrong. But at the exact same time, if you do not cave into the anti-Loli's perspective, something is ultimately wrong for you, therefore you must be killed on the spot. And I severely disagree with that notion, because we've had this societal pressure for about 70 fucking years in terms of American politics, by the way. I'm not entirely sure when it comes to Germany and other countries, but what I'm speaking in terms of America. We've had the societal pressure of kill on sight when it comes to the word pedophile being labeled onto somebody for the longest time, and it's not making things better, it's making things far worse than actually having a discussion about this type of topic. And I believe that's something we need to break out of in order for us to actually be able to protect children. And if you are actually in the business of protecting children, you would actually have some guardrails to keep your ass in check. And I actually suggest, in order for you to actually make those guardrails, people need to start reading up on pedophilia. No one is an expert on this. Chris Hansen's not an expert. Gideon's not an expert. Alex from Predator Poachers is not an expert. None of these people have read up on this shit. Because if you watch their content, they loosely use the word pedophilia very loosely. Just like racism. Just like fascism. It's very used loosely to just basically generate views and clicks. Because it's a very touchy subject. Racism is a very touchy subject. Fascism is a very touchy subject because no one wants to live under totalitarianship. No one wants to live under an authoritarian. No one wants to live under a dictator. But the problem is not a lot of people have read up on fascism. And even if you read up on fascism, even historians, and I've said this several times in other live streams, even historians who have read from the very fascists themselves cannot pinpoint what fascism really is. And that's the problem with it. It's so watered down, even out through history, you can't succinctly define it. And that's a problem. I honestly blame Shatman for why Lolly is so controversial. It's him and a lot of the moral busybodies. There's definitely a lot of like pedo jacketing, where a lot of people are trying to like show how virtuous they really are about children, but at the same time they don't want to talk about like real fucking issues where let's say for instance cartels. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that, like cartels and sex trafficking rings. You know, they don't want to talk about that because, you know, that actually has teeth. And if you were to specifically talk about a specific cartel leader, that would more than likely have them knocking on your door and giving you a Colombian necktie. Or was it a Cuban necktie? Well, basically, it's them slitting a hole in your neck and then taking your tongue and then pulling your tongue through your neck. Yeah, that comes with a threat. But like talking about anime and talking about the entirety of Japan population being nothing but a nation of pedophiles, yeah, that's perfectly fine because there's no teeth behind that. Where if you call out the Yakuza or anything like that, you know, it's in another language. And some of them don't, I don't think they actually have a proficiency in English. So I feel like a lot of people within the Anti-Loli Coalition feel comfortable with that idea because, you know, there's no teeth that actually like tells you to shut the fuck up about that kind of shit. But there is teeth behind cartels, which is why a lot of them don't really talk about that kind of stuff because, well, you can die talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry that they're running. I'm just saying. There's a big difference between Lolly and actual CP, and if Lolly was truly CP, for crying out loud, Epstein would literally be the leading industry of Lolly, but he wasn't. He was the leading industry of trafficking underage minors, specifically within the range from, I remember, 14 to 17, to his private island and having inappropriate relations with them. So, two entirely different things. Plus, vagina is a commodity. So if you're saying anime is CP, you are literally saying a drawing of the vagina has the same economical demand as a underage virgin. I want to make that point abundantly clear. If you're about the narrative of anime is CP or lolly is CP, you are ultimately saying a drawing of a vagina has the same economical demand as a virgin woman or a virgin girl. I'm just saying, you sound like a fucking retard when you make proclamations such as that with little to no fucking proof. And again, we're going to go over some articles that actually says, well, we really do need a lot of study on this because it's impossible for like scientists to actually have a discussion about this in the open. Because Alan Walker is a perfect example. I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't remember that guy. Back in 2020, when a lot of the anti-woke channels caught wind of Alan Walker giving a presentation on trying to say this as succinctly as possible, not normalize pedophilia to where it's perfectly fine to have sex with children, but to normalize the discussion so that you can actually have more succinct evidence and neurological evidence to get these people treatment who have not sexually violated the bodily autonomy of children. I have to speak like a fucking Anglo-Saxon. I'm sorry. So the people in the Anti-Loli group are also British, and they don't about Islam, probably not. No, they're actually very aware of the Islam. I know Chud Logic. Like, if he's not familiar with that shit, I'll be quite surprised. But that's actually a very good point, especially a lot of these people who are in the Anti-Loli Coalition are from the UK, are from England, and their entire yeah, that's a really good point, because their culture within their country is literally being subverted by Islam, where the number one baby name went from Noah to Muhammad. So I find that really weird that they're so focused on anime, but they're not focused on the fact that they literally have an Islamic cult infiltrating their government institutions, locking them up for hate speech, for calling out exactly what Islam is. Now that's actually a really good point. Thank you, Zilla. That's a really good point. Wow, I'm surprised I didn't think about that. Like, Jesus Christ. That's, wow. These people are cowards. Wow, these people are like 100% fucking bitches. And that's probably why they're so focused on Japan, is because, well, there's an economical incentive for you to actually start slandering Japan, but at the same time, you can't say anything about the Islamist extremists weaponizing your government to go after you while they are stabbing and doing having sexual assault with your children within your nations. And you don't want to say anything about that, but at the same time, you want to focus on anime because it's an easy target. It doesn't have any teeth to bite back against that narrative, so that's why they're sinking into it, because it's something that makes them feel like they're a man, when in actuality, there is more of a man than Logan Paul going against Mike Tyson, which is basically me saying it's a rigged fight. Yeah, that's a really good point. Good job, Zilla. See, that's why I like to make videos like this. It's to equip my viewers with the ability to come up with the solution themselves and come up with solutions themselves. See, now I'm not the only person that's coming here brainstorming about certain things that I'm coming across and going, why is this a thing? And then why is that a thing? Now you're opening my mind. And that shows me that my videos and my live streams are actually doing exactly what they need to be doing. It's teaching people and equipping them with the skills to be able to navigate the world themselves, instead of you coming to me telling me what's this and what's that and all this other crap, So good job, Zilla. You get a gold star for that one. But we're gonna get into this video, and this is a video by a YouTuber by the name of African Jones. Great name. Clearly saying that he's half black, half something. I'm not entirely sure. He decided to give his little input on the Mutahar Nuxtaku, but there's a reason why I'm covering this topic as well as this guy in particular, because he also holds, I wouldn't say an anti-Loli position. It's more of, I think he actually does have a genuine concern. And the reason why I say he has a genuine concern is because instead of doing what most people do, like Reservoir and the rest of those jackasses that hold the anti-Loli position do, where they see like the person holding the anti-Loli position and they're a hypocrite and they still maintain the line of anti-Loli while also still being hypocrites themselves, he actually acknowledges a problem that he has. And that problem is porn addiction. Like, he actually acknowledged the fact that he does have a porn addiction. And despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily have to say that, I have to give him credit as a person who is coming out ultimately in support of mental health issues for men. Like, we have to start opening that door up in terms of trying to get to the bottom issue of mental health problems in society, not only in just America, but also in other countries as well, where they split they sweep mental health issues under the rug and just call it something else, or they're not really interested, or they're just saying it for political points and they don't really have a solution in mind to actually solve those type of societal problems. And I actually am in the position I'm trying to like nip this shit in the bud instead of like trying to like pedo jacket people because you hate them for like political reasons or whatever fucking reason. Not saying that they don't have to like lolly, but at least talk about the issue in your own country before shitting on Japanese entertainment. Exactly. You know, sweep around your own front door before you sweep around mine. You know? They start policing other people's countries when you got like a stack of old rotten newspapers and rats running around. And you're talking about rats and how they're the leading cause of the Black Plague, and at the same time, it's like you got them running around your fucking country. Like, who are you to talk about, you know, the Black Plague and everything when you got rats running around your fucking backyard, you know? So we need to get in this notion of cleaning up your own backyard before you sweep around mine. You know, that old song, sweep around your own front door before you sweep around it. we need to get back into that. We need to get back into that notion, so that way when, you know, you open your mouth talking about you need to do this and you need to do that, people look in your backyard and go, you know what? You're right. I need to do that because I want my yard looking like your yard. It looks great, fantastic. It looks like a perfect setting for me to have a backyard burger. You know, I haven't had a backyard burger in a long time. Funny enough, we have a lot of like empty drive-throughs with the sign still up in my area. Like, I'm sorry, that kind of pisses me off. Like, it's just like I remember backyard burgers and their Angus burgers. I prefer I used to always get the pineapple chicken sandwich. That for the slice of pineapple. I think it had mayo. I don't think it had mayo. It had some type of sauce. I forgot what it was. A pineapple, lettuce, the chicken, and that was pretty much it. It was just a really good sandwich. Oh man. But let's go ahead and get into this video. So for the people who are watching, and for the people who are watching later on in the future, do not, under no circumstances, attack any of the people that I have mentioned. I should have mentioned this at the very beginning. That I have mentioned in this video. We are in the position of trying to get to the bottom of pedophilia disorder, which is DSM-5, which is classified under mental disorder. Also, next should also be criticized for the Tiger stuff and the whole micro shit show with Rev Says Desu. He should definitely be criticized for the fact that, and this is why I'm saying we need to stop the whole pedo jacketing thing, because and I find this very weird that a lot of the people in the Anti-Loli Coalition, they touch on the subject, but they really don't really hammer on the fact that Nux destroyed someone financially over a lie that Tyga was into having sex with little boys when he was actually just talking about like Gon from Hunter x Hunter, which is perfectly fine. That's a purely fictional character. You can have those feelings so long as you're not, you know, extending those into the realm of reality. If you're doing that, then I say you need to get tested. And that's another thing. Instead of doing all this little fucking pedo jacketing, you can literally just go get tested. But there's a problem with that because of societal norms. Kill on sight makes it impossible for men to come out and say these types of things. And this is why I generally say pedo jacketing, the art of pedo jacketing is just pedos talking about other pedos being the wrong pedo. This is why I hold the position that we need to talk about pedophilia in a very serious manner. And stop with this, oh, you know, Papa Gut's a pedophile, or this person's a pedophile, or that person's a pedophile. Granted, their takes are very hypocritical when you actually dig a little deep into what they're into, because, you know, Papa Gut is also into defending drag shows. I'm not entirely sure if he's actually into defending drag shows for children, which says something completely different about him, but at least the difference between lolly and drag shows is that Loli goes out, people within Loli go out the way to say that people under 18 should get the fuck out. And there are also people within the realm and the industry of drag culture who also say children should not have, they have no place in that industry at all, because it is inherently sexual. But there are some people, for some strange reason, believe it is perfectly fine for a drag queen to be around kids. And I'm not entirely sure Papa Gut is one of them, but considering he defends drag queens, I wouldn't be surprised that's his position. So let's go ahead and continue with this video, and we will start right now. And he's also going to say the same thing. Do not attack any of the people.
Hypocrisy Jones here, and today, since you can tell that I'm not currently working on my Dragon Age video and my DEI versus inclusivity video, especially the Forever Narrative Disease video, all three of these, I am trying to make sure that the scripts are at their absolute best. I do not want to screw up the main points that I want to be making in those videos. I'm in the room again. I am speaking off the cuff because, once again, another YouTuber that I looked up to has decided to become an absolute hypocrite or has crossed the line. Now, let me just state something real quick so that it is completely fair, and that I don't... that I'm not speaking from hypocrisy on this, especially because I want to be completely honest about the severity of what we're talking about, and I want to also be honest about my own history with this medium. So, full disclosure, I am an...
So before we actually get into this, I want to say this again. Hapican, I'm just going to call you Jones. Jones, I want to say thank you for not being a stand-up asshole, for not being a hypocritical asshole, for not being a virtue signaling jackass, and thinking just because big YouTubers that you follow are being hypocritical, you can stand on this notion of being the one with the gnosis, the know-it-all, on how to address these type of issues, and you're coming out on the forefront to say that I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to say that you are coming out as a pedophile, but I am going to say if you are that concerned, because he does say in this video that, oh, my bad. He does say in this video that he doesn't even trust himself, and he ultimately understands that people don't trust him. If that is the notion, I really do recommend you get tested. Now, it's going to be a lot harder, because, like I said, societal approach to pedophilia, it's basically kill on sight. So I have to say, you have a lot of balls to be coming out saying that you have not only just a porn addiction, but you also feel like you're holding yourself accountable. And I want to say hats off to you. But I do want to say, you probably understand this, but you have opened yourself to a position where if people who cannot handle the discussion see you, you are more than likely going to be attacked. So I'm just putting that out there.
Now, I am a manga and anime enjoyer, on and off, because back then, when I was 16, 17, I was deeply rooted into getting into new anime, thanks to my friends showing me Naruto and One Piece. However, I just kind of fell out of love before both series have finished. By the way, Oda, I wish you luck, and I wish you well on your health. Please do not put the series before your health. Please get better. So it was around 19 years old, I believe, that I stopped paying attention to most manga and anime except for Berserk. I've been collecting the deluxe editions since they've been shipping those, currently on volume 12, and I recently rediscovered my love for manga. I wanted to get more into the industry. I ended up discovering a lot of Tatsuki Fujimoto's works. I ended up discovering 5 centimeters per second, the manga edition. I fully recommend that you check that out over the movie. I also believe that you should check out the manga series Heavenly Delusion. It is a very, very good use of post-apocalyptic and kind of some structure that's taken from young adult Western novels, if you were ever into The Hunger Games or The Maze Runner. I believe if you're fans of those, you would definitely fall in love with Heavenly Delusion. I am currently writing 2 scripts for indie manga that I'm hiring artists for in the future, but that's all besides the point. The reason why that I wanted to bring up why this medium is important to me is because we do need to be aware of the mistakes of this medium's past and its normalized degenerate behavior in certain corners of the fandom and industry. And while I do not want to shame every single NSFW artist under the sun, I really don't. One particular NSFW artists that should be demonized because of a specific couple of actions that they have
And
done.
this is where he goes
very,
into the whole discussion about like Shadman and the whole Lolly thing. I do agree with all of his points about Shadman and everything. Also, Sean the Legend is going to criticize virtue signaling commentary channels. Sean the Legend. Who's that? Sean the Legend. Sean the Legend. Well, he's not a legend if I didn't hear about him. Sounds like Sean, the non-legendary. Sean the Legendary. What? Sean the Legend. Okay, so he goes by... Hey, this is somebody else. Okay, so someone did a stream on Sean the Legend quadruples down on defending Lolly. Why doesn't his channel fucking pop up? Do I need to space it? Okay, there we go. You have to space the words.
What's going on, everybody? It's me.
He sounds like a black guy. I have to vibe with him because he's my brother. No, I'm just kidding. I am not of the collective hive mind. Let's take a look at his videos. Take down slanders, harasses, deplatforms another person, get your name pad boycott and Twitter. Yes, Mutahar got caught. And the underrated grooming situation is beyond disgusting. Yeah, and I think like a lot of these people, especially like Papa Gut, the funny thing that I've noticed is like a lot of these people all have the same fucking opinion about cuties. Yet they're attacking each other under these pre-assumptions and these notions about Lolly. And that's why I often say that, you know, this discussion about Lolly is nothing more than a distraction for like child traffickers. Because the only people that's going to benefit off this kind of discussion is child traffickers. Especially in fucking England and the UK, like, no one's definitely going to give two shits in a solid fuck about these Brits talking about anime and Lolly. Meanwhile, their fucking women and girls are being sexually assaulted, stabbed, and killed. But you know, fuck that. That's not really a big concern. You know, you losing your fucking country and everything. Okay, yeah. I'll look into this guy's channel later on.
Fair to demonize this person, Shadman. For those of you, I mean, let's be real. A lot of you already know the history of Shadman. If you don't, you can check out the Turkey Tom video over on his channel. He basically did an entire...
Keemstar literally hung up that Lolly photo. I can't find the fucking video, but I do remember him actually framing that fucking photo. I mean, and that photo drawing. Now I'm starting to sound like them. Okay.
Breakdown of Shadman's history, and he made a secondary follow-up video considering what happened to Shadman after the expose.
The non-sexual one,
Shadman
by the
was
way.
basically not only drawing Loli and Shota art, which I do believe is the only exception of what should be censored in the medium. I really do. Again, not anything of slight suggestive content like Sailor Moon or Don Don, but some...
Okay, but that's the problem with, like, those who believe Lolly is CP or anime is CP. Those characters are, in fact, sexualized children to them. So, I'm pretty sure me and Jones have the same fucking opinion, because he sounds like a person, considering he's like, sounds like he's against DEI. Good lad. Good. So it sounds like we're both on the same fucking page in terms of this. He also needs to understand that those who have the opinion of like trying to succinctly talk about this problem more than likely don't want to actually have a honest discussion about the problem. And what they're doing is they're trying to weaponize the discussion in a way to attack the male gaze, which this is basically what that is, because again, I can classify the Sailor Scouts as sexualized children if I was part of the Anti-Loli Coalition. Any anime I can interpret as sexualized children. Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, for crying out loud, Urameshi grabbed the balls of a fucking demon woman. Right? That's sexualization. What's another one? Tenchi Muyo. Basically any fucking harem anime out there, you could basically say that. There's just a whole host. Like you can grab examples from fucking One Piece and say that it's example of sexualized children. And then there's also other things like a lot of people don't, especially in the Anti-Loli Coalition, don't understand, is that there's even people of the notion, especially since they like to operate around the definition of person who is sexually attracted to minor or child. There are also people who ultimately believe an 18-year-old is not a full mature adult. So you jacking off to 18 plus women doesn't mean you're safe either. So there has to be a drawn line. Otherwise, we're going into this perpetual spiral of Salem witch trials, of hunting people because of your perception of them being a witch when they're not a witch. And then you ultimately end up killing them and culling the population on behalf of the oligarchs. Just saying. It's the same song and dance. Same song and dance.
Something where it is extremely pornographic, and unfortunately, like if it is an actual child being depicted, I don't agree with it. I disavow it.
Obviously.
However, we cannot ignore that a lot of the medium was normalized to the point a lot of content creators back then did defend Shadman. But however, I think it's fair to say that Shadman is...
I wonder which content creators he's talking about. Hold on. Let's see if there's a bold motherfucker that said in the defense of Shadman. Let's see, there's Low T Tom. There's in the defense of Lolly and Lolicon art. Yeah, a lot of people don't really openly defend this guy. That's surprising. Typically, you end up like the Keemstar thing, where Keemstar is on a pedo hunt for like LGBTQ, but he ends up promoting people like Sneeko and Andrew Tate. One of which, when it comes to Sneeko, he does consent to the idea of marrying children, since, he's part of the whole Dawa Boys thing in Islam. And he promotes Andrew Tate, who is also in allegations in courts for putting minors through his webcam business, which he has explicitly said himself that he does this with one person. He has explicitly said this himself with one person that he met a long time ago, who is 21, that he met 6 years ago, and if you do the math, that means that person was 15 when he first met them. And if you actually understand his war room and his package deal of teaching his paid subscribers how to pick up women, one of his tactics is basically go for the insecure ones and try to have sex with them. And that's what he mostly targets off of. Like that's what he specifically says when he's talking about his business and sex scam business, is that he specifically goes off the girls with insecurities. And that's one of the things that a lot of people like to omit for some fucking reason, because I don't think it's something nefarious. I think it's just people are to be honest, I think it's just like societal definitions and how society has defined pedophilia, and they're forming their opinion off of society's perception of pedophilia, when in actuality they need to be looking at it in an academic sense. And I feel like if we actually got on into it like an academic way, we can actually absolve these issues with men issues. But I feel as though there are some people that do not want those issues resolved because they actually hate men and they actually want all men to die. So this would be the perfect narrative for them to excuse the idea of killing all men with righteous, furious condemnation.
Is not worthy of defense. I mean, the dude literally... Now, again, I'm going to state this for the sake of me not being a hypocrite and me staying, like, honest with you. When I was 16, 17, when I was starting to get into the medium, it also, unfortunately, was around the same time, at least a year or so before, that I was getting into dojins. And unfortunately, one of those dojins happened to be Ruby-based, if you know anything about the show Ruby. And little did I find out years later that that dojin was made by Shadman.
Okay, so this is the part that I really want to focus on. So, Jones, I want to make this abundantly clear. Based on the articles that I have posted up on this stream, I don't know if you're going to watch this or not. If not, you know, you're safe. If you are, hi, how's it going? I honestly do believe you do not have pedophilia disorder. That's just my thought. Because it takes a lot of balls for a person to come out and say something that you're doing, but I think you're not doing it because you honestly do feel like you have pedophilia disorder. I think you're doing it in terms of you see this narrative spreading and you don't want to be in the crossfire. Which I say, again, you're a brave man to actually come out and say this, but at the exact same time, I want you to understand when news of this gets out, there are going to be people, if they find you, they don't care about the nuance, they want you dead. So I want you to understand what you're actually getting into. So, FYI.
And to say that really shook me to my core, made me question, you know, like who I am morally. It was just fucked up. It's absolutely fucked up. And like I said, like
and that's perfectly fine because it's fictional. The Ruby characters are dead ass fucking fictional. Irregardless of the fact Shadman drew the dojin, the characters were 100% fictional. That's perfectly fine, bro. It's not like you was jacking off to lolly drawings of fucking Keemstar's daughter. At least you weren't jacking off of that. That's a saving grace. Okay? So, don't beat yourself up, man. Like, no teenage boy is not without their sins. Especially if, since, based off your YouTube name, you're saying Halfkin Jones, I'm not stereotyping here, I'm basing it off statistical data. I'm going to assume you grew up in a single parent household with your mother. And you didn't have a father to guide you through the do's and don'ts. And that's like one of the many reasons having a father in your life is very important. It's because they hold the do's and don'ts that men under no circumstances should do, right? Like trying to have sex with a prepubescent child or a minor. Or don't drink and drive. Don't cash a check that your tush can't cash, you know? The passing down of the torch of what the man went through for 40-something years to the 17-year-old, you know, before he steps out into the world. That's why fathers are very important in young men's lives. I think the reason a lot of these fathers are being kicked out is because, well, that creates more of an incentive towards making more candidates of pedophilia. And this isn't just relegated specifically to Lolly, this is also just porn in general. Because you had reports, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. you had reports of Pornhub having reports of actual CP on their website, and they didn't do anything to take it down. So generally, when you are consuming porn, there is more than likely an odds that the porn you are consuming, unless the person's a MILF, that they are below the age of 18 and that you are possibly consuming CP. So I want people to understand this. No one is exempt from this, okay? Because you more than likely have had one video that you looked at where the girl looks hot, but the people who did the film don't care about her age. Pornhub report on CP on their sites. According to a Reddit post, the user reported by another user report. Okay, so this is an AI result. Well, look at this. Based on the provided search results, here is a summary of the information related to reporting CP on Pornhub. According to the Reddit post of 2020, a user reported finding CP on Pornhub and was advised to contact the platform directly and report the content. The user was also encouraged to provide a URL or title of the video and or the username of the uploader to aid the investigation. Another Reddit post in 2018 provided similar guidance, suggesting that users report CP in Pornhub by contacting the platform's senior community manager, Kate_Pornhub, where I provided a link to the address link to identify information to aid in the investigation. The National Center of Missing and Exploited Children provides a cyber tip line report from reporting suspected online exploitation of children, including CP. The report can be completed. Yada yada yada. As mentioned, the people who accidentally view CP online may rely on the police. Like, there's a thing about accidentally bumping into it. That's like one thing. It's another thing where you have people who are explicitly going out their way to find samples of CP, but they're not like an authority figure, and they're not even using the hotline. They're like making YouTube videos and making money off of it. I don't know if I can find that report. Hold on. Because there was a report on that. There's one from the New York Times, but I'm not a subscriber, so definitely can't look at that. Okay, here it is. Report from CNN. Pornhub removes the majority of the videos that the investigation reveals child abuse. New York CNN Business. Pornhub has removed the majority of its content, millions of explicit videos uploaded from unverified users as part of a series of changes following the allegations that the site showed videos of child abuse and non-consensual sexual behavior. And that's also, this is back in 2020. In a blog post Monday, the website said it had enacted the most comprehensive safeguards in user-generated platform history. including barring unverified uploaders from adding new content, eliminating the ability to download most videos, and has removed all previously uploaded content that was not created by Pornhub verified content partners or members of Adult Performer Network. The changes took the number of videos on the website up 13.5 million videos down to under 3 million. Going forward, content creators must become verified using Pornhub's process that involves uploading a picture of themselves with a username. That way you can identify who actually is uploading this type of thing, where the upload is actually tied to an actual person. And if you're going to go by the narrative of Loli as CP, you also have to go by the narrative of Pornhub, which a lot of people do go to, and a lot of people did go to. You have more than likely consumed CP in some way, shape, form, or manner. And then there's that whole thing with Veritas, where there's people within, I don't know if anybody has actually seen that video, where he was on a dinner date with someone from Pornhub, where they said they do intentionally try to put this kind of content like transgenderism or stuff like that in front of people in order for them to wean them onto the idea of sexual acceptance of trans people, which can also mean sexual acceptance of, like, you know, having sex with minors, considering they had like 13.5 million videos of child sex abuse and non-consensual sex. The changes of 3 million, blah, blah, blah. The Canadian-based website jabbed other social media websites, writing that it's always Canada for some reason. Every piece of Pornhub content is verified uploaders, a requirement that platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, and Twitter have yet to institute. We're the good guys because we did something that the other guys don't. In today's world, all social media platforms share the responsibility to combat illegal material when you're called out for it. Pornhub stated, solutions must be driven by real facts and real experts. We hope we have demonstrated our dedication to leading by example. Pornhub was the target of the New York Times report earlier this month that led to large credit card companies to block customers from using their credit cards to make purchases online on the website. MasterCard, Visa, and Discover all terminated their cards for being used on it. New York Times columnist, there we go, Jesus Christ, Nicholas Kristoff described recordings of Pornhub's website of assaults in unconscious women and girls, including a naked video of a 14-year-old girl. He wrote at Pornhub allows videos to be downloaded directly from its site, leaving room for content to be spread and then re-uploaded on the internet, even after it's been taken down. Pornhub denied the allegations, stating that any assertion it allows child sex abuse material, CSAM, on its platform is irresponsible and flagrantly untrue, while also removing 13.5 million of that material off your website. But, you know, I digress. Due to the nature of our industry, people's preconceived notions of Pornhub's values and process often differ from reality, but it is counterproductive to ignore the fact that regarding the subject as serious CSAM, Pornhub said in a previous statement in CNN Business, we have zero tolerance for CSAM. Pornhub is unequivocally committed to combating CSAM when pointed out, and as instituted an industry-leading trust and safety policy to identify and to eradicate illegal material from our community. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't add us, bro, and don't dig too deep. Okay, so, yeah. So even in the event of, like, this whole notion of, like, only Loli is the biggest factor, right? We also have to, you also have to tackle porn as a whole. And I don't think that's a discussion, like, not all, but I'm pretty sure, like, someone like Chud Logic would be in the position of, like, outright banning pornography as a whole. Which, you know how my position on that is. That is not a solution. That is perpetuating a problem. and exacerbating that problem to the point to where men do not have a sexual outlet. And when you have an entire generation after generation after generation of unsatisfied men who have a lot of sexual energy and they can't let it out because you took away their only vice is to sexually assault women and children. Especially if we're talking about feminism and, you know, the patriarchy and hierarchy and all that crap. Ah! I hit the back button. Jesus Christ. God dang it. Hold on.
Welcome to the second week of Daily December, and
No. Ah, God dang it. Ah, I lost the freaking video. Hold on. History. I hit the back button on my mouse.
Said, like, when you're a
There we go.
teenager, when you're not given like a lot of information about how to surf the internet, especially when you got to figure a lot of things out on your own, like I did, you don't know like how bad the consequences of looking at that stuff is, and you especially don't know like how bad NSFW addiction can become. Something that I don't hear a lot of people talk about is how they struggle with porn addiction. I mean, I had to go to therapy to overcome it. I ended up having to, you know, like put myself through the ringer for the sake of me being able to maintain a healthy relationship with a partner.
And when he says he actually has a porn addiction, a lot of people like to think porn addiction is like, oh, you just can't stop masturbating. No. Porn addiction, and this is actually a pretty good segue. Which article was it? Which article was it? About porn addiction. I think it was this one. Safe. I think it was this one that talks about addiction. No, it's this one. Yeah, it was this one. This is a pretty good segue into another article. Addiction isn't just person who can't stop masturbating or person who goes home and, you know, they're by themselves and they always like to, you know, spank one out. Addiction is something along the lines of you're looking up porn in a very inappropriate place. Like you're not in your private residence. You're like in a public residence. Like you're in a bathroom or you're like IT and you're on your company's device and you're looking up pornography when you're not looking it up on your own time, you know. Like there's a time and place for it, but like a person who truly has an addiction where you cannot under no circumstances control your urges to like whip one out. That is actual addiction, but a lot of people like to conflate addiction as, well, you masturbated, therefore you have an addiction. So we're gonna segue into this article from Psychology Today about understanding the users of CP. As porn usage has increased, many men have either intentionally or unintentionally seen CP. Although such behaviors are abhorrent and generally reviled by our society, they are not a de facto sign that an in-person sexual offense is likely to be committed. Keep that in note. Like I said, we need to stop pedojacketing. Moreover, many, although not all, of the men who look at CP once they enter treatment tend to respond positively to therapeutic intervention with a minimal likelihood of relapse. To illustrate the difference between the two are likely or unlikely to respond to treatment, consider the examples of James and Robert. James is a 26-year-old male, was arrested after the IT department at his work found around 20 underage images and videos of his company-issued laptop. The IT department also found hundreds of legal images and videos, mostly depicting adult women. And this is why I say back then about, you know, consuming pornography as a whole and not just lolly, like pornography as a whole, like real women. You have more than likely consumed CP. So no man on this planet is innocent. I want to make that abundantly fucking clear. So the pedo jacketing needs to fucking stop. And if you're that concerned about a person being a pedophile, then have them get tested. Okay? Also, Jones seems like he didn't know who the hell Shadman was, even at the time, and only knew about Shadman because of the internet drama. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the general consensus of a lot of people. Like, a lot of people just know Shadman for his art. Because, like, give the man credit for where it's due. Like, his art is actually pretty good. In therapy, after his arrest, James admitted downloading the illegal images, even though he knew it was wrong and felt ashamed. This has been going on for a few years. Once I saw the first picture, it was like a boulder rolling downhill. I couldn't stop myself. I found some illegal content, downloaded it, then hated myself and deleted it. Then a week or two later, I'd do the same thing in a therapy. James is highly motivated to permanently end his use of all pornography to maintain his relationship and his long-term girlfriend and to stay out of prison, which sounds like what Jones was going through. So Jones is basically in the James category. Then there's the Robert category, where Robert is a 32-year-old male who was arrested for the same fucking thing of being in the IT department of his IT department, finding at his work 20 underage images and videos on his company issued laptop. There was no other pornography, but this isn't proof that, it's exclusively of being attracted to children, because you can be diagnosed with pedophile disorder for having an attraction with real children and adults. It's not exclusively or exclusively. In therapy, after his arrest, Robert intentionally denied downloading the illegal material, saying that somebody in his workplace was out to get him. He's pulling the Andrew Tate effect of, the Matrix is out to get me, despite the fact that, yes, I'm the one that clicked on that link. Yes, I'm the one that hit the download. Yes, I was there at the house at the time, based on my IP giving you that information. But I want you to understand that that person was able to, pseudo shadow clone ninjutsu his way into my room and illegally download CP while I wasn't really looking at the computer, but I was also in the same room. He used some type of space-time ninjutsu to actually put illegal material on my laptop, and so therefore it was definitely not me. And it was obviously the Matrix, who is against me in every way, shape, and form, and my conservatism to actually preach the real word to men, and to teach them how to be real men, and by them teaching them how to be real men is teaching them how to be fucking predators, because that's what Andrew Tate is, actually teaching young men to be literal predator degenerates. You need to talk about that. He never had a serious romantic relationship. He has been arrested multiple times for a variety of minor offenses, though none of the sexual nature until now. Eventually, he admits that he likes young girls, and prior to his arrest, he had a much larger stash of illegal porn on his external hard drive device. I trashed it after I got arrested because I didn't want the cops to find it. In therapy, Robert is highly motivated to stay out of prison. Beyond that, he seems unmotivated to make life changes. James and Robert have been arrested for the same offense, but from a clinician's perspective, they're quite different. Robert is an individual who searches for and looks at CP in a dedicated way with no other sexual interests, whereas James simply stumbled across it when looking at legal porn and found it arousing, though not to the exclusion of more socially acceptable behaviors, including age-appropriate romantic sex and sexual relationships. So we're going into the category of types of CP users. Clinicians who are skilled with issues related to CP have identified three primary typologies, each of which presents unique risks and potentials of recovery and healing. There's the sexually compulsive addicted offenders. These individuals compulsively engage in sexual behaviors, including porn use, as a way to avoid stress, depression, anxiety, and the like. So they use porn as a coping mechanism. Unfortunately, as with the other addictions, sex porn addiction tends to escalate in the same way that a substance abuser might escalate from alcohol to painkillers to heroin. A porn addict might escalate from vanilla porn to hardcore porn and maybe CP. These individuals typically respond positively to informed treatment and that are relatively unlikely to reoffend, except perhaps in the early stages of addiction recovery, where short-term relapses are relatively common. So this is why it's very important for us to actually have these conversations in a very mature setting, and we can't just be jumping off the fucking bandwagon of kill on sight when you're actually talking about this subject, because kill on sight only exacerbates the issue of pedophilia even further, because you're just killing. It's like killing a zombie, right? If you killed the zombie, did you stop the zombie apocalypse? No, you didn't stop the zombie apocalypse because you didn't kill the progenitor that started the whole outbreak. You didn't stop that one. You didn't stop the one that bit that one. You didn't stop the one that bit that one, and so on and so forth. You didn't stop the one that bit the 2, and then you didn't stop the 2 that bit the 4. You didn't stop the 4 that bit the 16. You didn't stop the 8. You didn't stop the 8 that bit the 16, and you didn't stop the 16 that bit the 32. You didn't stop the 32 that bit the 64, and so on and so forth. So that's why we actually do need to get off of that notion of like pedojacking. Situational regressed child offenders. These men are attracted to both adults and minors. Many have healthy adult romantic attachments. So being married does not mean you are exempt from the idea of being a pedophile. Their sexual behavior with minors tends to be more opportunistic than planned. Typically, they view their victims as adult-like. They see them more as an adult rather than a child, which I'm starting to... I wonder if there's like a because I was making that distinction of pedophiles do see children as adults. So would that mean the people of the Anti-Loli Coalition who sees Loli as strictly as children, do they also see children as adults? But I don't think that'd be like an indicator, right? As sus as like Mutahar and Nextaku make themselves out to be, in like short fat otaku and side scrollers. Like a lot of these people, they do very contradictory things, such as literally look up like side scrollers literally looking up CP and then live streaming what they believe to be CP, right? Versus like Dev, who believes Loli is CP, yet at the exact same time just got outed for defending pedophiles. I don't think in the way that I'm defending him, but more of a way of, you know, they can exist in his Discord server so long as they're looking up CP outside his server, which no, that is not a criteria. You should be hosting their dev. And it's just we really it's, I think those are those type of people that really have me on high alert versus someone like Asmongold or V, right? Their opinion is, well, they just don't like Loli. Simple as that. But you know, Papa Gut likes to imply that Asmongold likes Loli, despite the fact that the video that he just got through watching literally had Asmongold in there saying he does not like it. But because he sides with Rev Desu, who uses a Loli avatar, he thinks he's a hypocrite, therefore he's actually in the Loli. And therefore he's a pedophile, and therefore Rev is a pedophile, but he doesn't have any hard proof on that, so he needs to watch himself. And I think a lot of people need to watch themselves in that. Where do I leave off of? These individuals typically respond to positive ways of appropriate treatment, and their risk of reoffending is generally minimal. That said, there are factors discussed momentarily that can push their revictimism risk from minimal to moderate. Interesting. Fixated, dedicated child offenders. These are people who already violated the bodily autonomy of children. For these individuals, the primary and often sole sexual attraction is toward children and or teens. If the primary attraction is toward prepubescent children, they are clinically referred as pedophiles, because that's what pedophile is a person who's attracted to prepubescent, not minor or child, prepubescent child. If the primary attraction is toward adolescents, they are called hebephiles, 14 to 17. Either way, these offenders are not aroused by adults. CP can be a significant part and reinforcer of their sexual pattern. Often they view themselves in a childlike way sexually. They see themselves as being the same age as the minor in an imagery they view. So they actually see themselves as actual children, like they're still stuck in like that worldview. Well, not that worldview, but like that past, like they can't grow up. These individuals typically have a difficult time in treatment, and their risk for reoffending is incredibly high. Thinking back to the examples with Robert and James, after a thorough risk assessment is conducted, Robert will probably be typed as a fixated, dedicated child offender, unlikely to respond in positive ways to treatment with a higher likelihood of recidivism. Meanwhile, James will probably be typed as either a situational or a sexually addicted offender. And because he is internally motivated to make the necessary life changes, he is an excellent candidate for treatment and less likely to recidivate. Which, this sounds like him. Sounds like Jones. He actually fits the fucking criteria. But I don't think he's I don't think he's a pedophile unless I actually get like that certification from a clinic that actually says that he is. Regardless of typology, factors can complicate or hinder treatment include, because Jones falls under that category of I am addicted to porn, but I happen to stumbled upon CP, as opposed to a person that's like, I've seen CP, I know what it is, I don't want to stop watching it, therefore I'm going to keep watching it. Those are two entirely different things. CP is merely one aspect of larger antisocial or criminal lifestyle. Porn use includes bizarre or ritualistic acts like extreme bondage or... I think that's the thing that has something to do with her fucking butthole. Enemas? The offender denies the offense occurred or tries to blame someone else. CP use is secondary to an unremitting condition of serious mental illness and mental disability. Although the above factors can complicate and hinder treatment, they do not automatically signal that an offender is untreatable. And then they have the treatment. From the clinical perspective, users of CP often respond well to treatment, especially compulsive, addicted, and situational users. The vast majority of these offenders show no other evidence of criminal behavior. Typically, they are average, law-abiding citizens. Most have never before been involved in the criminal justice system. In many aspects, they have lived productive lives, both personally and professionally. Such men are solid treatment candidates and unlikely to reoffend. Sadly, the legal system and vast parts of the psychiatric community are either unaware of the unmotivated or unmotivated by this fact. Instead, these professions possess and seem satisfied with only the basic knowledge of child CP users. Thus, it is up to clinical professionals and defense attorneys to evaluate CP users' motivations, history, and the likelihood of the future wrongdoing and to present when appropriate an argument for therapeutic rather than purely punitive sentencing. This does not mean that the system is siding with POs. I will repeat that. Just because a person who is sexually attracted to children, Gideon, does not automatically mean you should just punish them. Because again, you're not solving the mental health crisis of men. You're not solving these issues. Because look at it this way, right? Let's say hypothetically your kid was a pedophile. Do you really have it in your heart to actually kill your kid outright? Like, be honest. Do you honestly have it in your heart to take that shotgun, cock it, point it at your kid, your flesh and blood, who has not offended? They know what they're doing is wrong. Well, they know that the incentives that they have is wrong, but they don't act on them. They don't want to act on them. But their own father, who they love so much, wants you dead. Like, that kind of stuff has to stop. Because again, you had 70 something years of kill on sight, and has exacerbated the problem forevermore. So it's time to try something new. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Sadly, this legal system, blah, 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 history, read all that. To this end, informed and experienced therapists must be invited by defense attorneys into the legal process to help well-meaning but underinformed judges and prosecutors understand that not all CP offenders are the same, and that many, perhaps even the majority, have the psychological and emotional awareness needed to not reoffend. So, Jones, like I said earlier, I don't really think you have a DSM-5 category, but just to be safe, like, get tested.
Or especially me not wanting to be a hypocrite.
And if the people in those clinics start to like harass you in any way, shape, or form, sue them.
With friends of mine who were abused. So because of me knowing a lot more now, it's made me more disgusted with Shadman in the future, especially after, finding out in 2016 when he made art of not only Daphne Keane, the actress, Lieutenant Corbett's, and again, the third one was, I don't have any information if there was any pornographic material, but Keemstar's daughter.
Actually, there is. You can literally go on YouTube, and there's a thumbnail of like the lolly art of Keemstar's daughter, like the first fucking thumbnail. It's not that hard to find. Granted, it's the safe for work version, but at the same time, it's also an incentive for an actual incentive to actually have coitus with Keemstar's daughter. So, yeah, I definitely would say that is CP, and that should definitely be taken off the web, and no one should be hosting that in their videos. Like, that should honestly be taken down. Now, when it comes to the discussion of pedophilia, a lot of people don't really understand that there is, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me saying this, but we've also been saying women can't vote, because look what feminism does. So I'm going to go ahead and say this. There is a sexual preference to this. And the reason why I say that is because look at Keemstar, who is part of the culture war. He believes the LGBTQ agenda, because look who he posts on Twitter in regards of the LGBTQ agenda with Sneeko and Andrew Tate. But because his preference is of females and not little boys, he considers LGBTQ the progenitor of pedophilia, but not straight men. Straight men like Sneeko or Andrew Tate, who pose this masculine facade of being the man's man, when in actuality they literally facilitate a religion that facilitates the idea of having not only sex with children but marrying them, Islam. And then B, Andrew Tate and his various allegations of involving minors within his sex cam business. Jones also didn't seem to literally interact with Shatman himself. As I always said, he was read a doujin made by Shatman. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think he's a pedophile. Like, you just stumbled upon it. Like, to be honest, if he actually went to the study, if he actually went to get treated for pedophilia disorder, he would more likely come out negative. Because, well, one, he doesn't have a preferred age, and then two, he doesn't have a preferred body type on the Tanner scale of 1 through 5, 1 being pedophile, and then working your way up from 1 to 5. 1, 2, still being in pedophile, I think it's like within the range of like 2 to 5, and then in scale 2 Tanner is 6 and 9, and then 3 is ranging from 10 to 13. 4 is 14 to 17, and 5 being a fully developed person, which is 18 and up, is a person that's already they're already in their adolescence. Well, 3 and 4 is already in their adolescence. 10 or 5 is a person that's fully developed, and they stop their growth. So, I honestly don't think this guy's a better. Like, I appreciate him coming out and trying to address the issue in a very modest way, and he's not one of these holier than thou type of people, you know. I truly appreciate him for that.
Like, when you
find
this out, and when you're a teenager, you're about to become an adult. Like, I was literally 17, like, when all this went down. And finding all this out, it shook me. It shook what I knew about what was appropriate or not about sexual freedom. It shook what I knew about who and who not to trust on the internet. And I didn't know how.
Well, that was the thing. You're not supposed to be trusting anybody on the internet in the first fucking place. I mean, I grew up in an era, right? Don't put your fucking personal information online, my guy, you know? Don't trust the Nigerian prince from Nigeria, right? That, you know, you're related and you got like all this fortune just sitting over here for you, you know. All you got to do is just, you know, hand over your birthday and your social security number, right? I grew up in that age, you know. And it's kind of sad to see that a person like him, right? I'm assuming that he's still of younger age, like he's probably in his 20s or so. Didn't get that type of treatment in these schools, not treatment, but kind of lesson in these schools. And you kind of have to sit here and wonder, like, what in God's name are these people teaching in these schools where this man grew up young, horny, full of testosterone, full of energy, wants to bust a nut, doesn't have a father figure, doesn't have a male role model where he can actually, you know, have this one-to-one conversation, because you do actually need to have one-to-one conversations, which, again, this is why fathers are very important in children's lives. He doesn't have this, right? He's a young man growing up, doesn't have a male role model or father figure to actually open up to about certain things that he feels like he can't really question. But, you know, in terms of, like, females, right? Females can not only talk about it, they're also given a lighter consequence for it. You know? A lot of people look at female pedophiles as if, like, that's not really a big deal. You know, it's the whole South Park episode of, you know, Kyle's little brother having sex with the hot female teacher and all the cops going, nice. Right? And I watched South Park when I was like 12 or 11, and I was introduced to that episode, and I was like, because I remember at that time, like, we were sexually active. Like, the idea of, you know, a smoking hot female teacher wanting to have sex with you at such a young age, like that, in terms of a gender perspective, right? In terms of a gender perspective, you can't lie about this. Young boys do often, and I'm not advocating for this, okay? I'm just saying this is a thing that actually happens within the space. Young boys do advocate and dream about the idea of being able to lose their virginity to an older woman. That is a general thing. So when EDP says, you know, we also have to get on these children that are also advancing on adults, he's not wrong. Like, a lot of people smoked him for that video, but I actually agree with him, because it seems like a lot of people's notion of a pedophilia is that it's only wrong when the adult approaches the child. But if the child approaches the adult, you know, it's perfectly fine. You know, they know what they're getting into, you know. But that's not fine, because, again, pedophilia is not just children, is not a person just simply attracted to children. It's a lot more complicated than that. It's the idea of you also being, it's also like impulsive control. You have a lack of control, a lack of self-control. If you find it impossible for you to have a boner if you're around a woman in a dress, I think there's a problem. I wouldn't say you're a pedophile, but I'll say you do have a self-control problem. And I think that's fair for me to say. Because I can't control myself when I'm around a woman in a dress or a skirt. Like, I don't go, oh, I gotta bust a nut off right now. No. I'm very control. I have a lot of self-control. Jones also didn't seem to have literally interacted with. Wait, did you just say that? Sorry? What? Wait, did I read? Oh yeah, I read that one. Okay, never mind. That was weird. I was like, wait, did that just pop up or okay, that was weird. Lost my train of thought. Snap. Shit, I lost my train of thought. Never mind. Well, let's just continue with the video then.
How to help myself except go to therapy. So yeah, I'm gonna say it like a lot of YouTubers won't. I ended up consuming a dojin made by Shadman when I was a teenager, and you know what? I'm willing to take the L.
That's not an L, Bo. That's not an L. You're fine. You're fine. But I do appreciate the fact that you're coming out and not trying to be a hypocrite.
I am absolutely willing to take the L. Because to see how many
people... You have more moral standing than Keemstar. Let me just go ahead and say that.
People are running and hiding from the fact that they have engaged in that content, anything where it dealt with underage characters. It sucks, because it's like, how can you trust someone that's not willing to be honest about that? How? And I don't even want to ask you guys to trust me either, because this is a very, very heavy subject to be talking about here, which is why
true.
We're going to segue into why, you know, me being honest is important about this. Mutahar, Some Ordinary Gamers, a channel that I've been following, I want to say since around 2016, I believe. Whenever Metal Gear Survive came.
We don't talk about that.
That fucking terrible last game. I remember discovering Mutahar from that video. Therefore, I ended up finding out about his haunted gaming videos, his deep web browsing videos. Basically, had it not been for him, I wouldn't have known about how complex internet security is, or the lack of internet security.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so that's one thing I also need to say about Mutahar. You know, despite the fact that he was making such a hypocrisy of everything, let's not also forget that there are some things that, you know, we can't appreciate him for what he's done. You know, he's one of the leading forces of, like, and that's why I refer to him as my Indian IT guy, you know, because he's good at fucking security, you know? You know, the best guy you can honestly go to. Like, if there's one person I would honestly recommend on the internet, there's Lewis as well, but, you know, Mutahar is one of those type of people, I would say, that in terms of information security, yeah, that's a guy I can actually go to and trust, you know. I can't say under no circumstances that I can't trust Mutahar in terms of information security. In terms of narrative, in terms of political discourse, I definitely can't trust him there. But in terms of IT, oh yeah, bro, I am never under no circumstances going to second guess you. Unless you give me a fucking reason to, and then that I gotta really prove the information that you are providing is a bullshit, right? But it'll be pretty hard for me to do that, considering you're the Indian tech support. It's like going against God at that point.
There is like how much of my personal information is out there, the varying options of PC software such as Linux, and all the virtual machines that he got to build. Like, he basically inspired a lot of my passion for veering into the tech side of the YouTube space, especially.
And that's good.
I enjoyed a lot of his takes regarding gaming.
And when it comes to like what inspired me to like go into the tech field, anime and a lot of my cartoons back when I was little inspired me into the field of technology and information technology as well. Tenchi Muyo. My first anime crush was Washu because I love computers and she's like a fucking science geek. And it's like it'd be pretty like badass to have a girlfriend that has like a badass fucking lab that you just like disappear into and like do fucking experiments and make robots and shit. Then there's Panthro, the original Soul Brother. I don't care what y'all say, Panthro is black, okay? As much as we have like fucking discussions and debates about Miles Morales being black, I think nobody can actually sequester the original blues man himself, Panthro, with that fucking guitar riff. When that motherfucker plays, you shut the fuck up, man. You fucking listen, alright? What other shows? Reboot? 1994 Canadian TV show Reboot. I've been watching all the episodes on here where they've been streaming all the full episodes, and man, I forgot that Reboot ended on a fucking cliffhanger with fucking Megabyte coming back from the web after like Enzo like dished his ass in the fucking the web portal. And he came back as a Trojan virus and is able to like transform everybody that's there and shit. And he ends up taking over the principal's office and he ends up like capturing, I forgot who he captured at the end. I think he ended up capturing Fong. And he ended up infecting Enzo's father, who's still in null form in a robot. And like all the people separated. So I think it was like Bob and older Enzo was separated from Dot and Mouse, and I think Fong was captured. Yeah, I think Fong was captured by Megabyte, and it ended on the cliffhanger with him saying like, this isn't about me implementing my utopia, mega, I forgot what he called, basically Eggman Land, if you want to. Because, every fucking villain's inspiration back then was basically taking over land and making an amusement park. But he wanted to come back, and he was like, his whole point was just revenge. And it ended on that cliffhanger. And I was like, more than likely, if it would have continued into season 5, Megabyte was going to kill off some characters. And I think one of the characters would have been older Enzo. Because he wanted that rematch, bro. He wants that. He wants to get back after that fucking ass whooping he got. I don't blame Lolly itself for what Shaman did to Keemstar's daughter. Shaman was an already fucked up individual, considering Shaman drew art of his own mother. Yep, that is true. A lot of people don't really talk about that for some reason. They only talk about like Keemstar, or like Keemstar's daughter and like other people, but they don't really talk about like, guy drew art of his mother. God, what the fuck is mother? Just wow, that's a complete omission of Oedipus Rex right there, guys. Just saying. But I'll admit that, I ain't gonna say it, like, obviously everyone in the Anti-Loli Coalition wants to fuck their mom. As easy as that would be, I'm not gonna say it. Is Mutahar losing subscribers, by the way? I seriously doubt that, because when it comes to the dialectical of YouTube celebrities, they don't end up losing that much anyways. Social Blade, some ordinary gamers. Let's see. If we take a look over here. Oh yeah, he's been losing a lot. Total subscribers. End up getting 20,000 around July 14, 2024. And ever since November 24th, 2024, at that point, he gained 10,000 subscribers, and now he lost those 10,000 subscribers. On from December 1st to November 17th. So he gained that 10,000, he lost that 10,000. So he ain't losing shit. Yeah, he ain't losing nothing. And that's what I said about the what was it called? What the fuck Death called it? It's basically when the viewership is so enamored by the YouTuber, they cannot under no circumstances like break their way away from like who he is or what that YouTuber is. So I don't know why a lot of people think like when like YouTubers are exposed like this, like they fall off of relevancy, and they just lost like only like 10,000 subscribers. Also, sorry, I made some errors in my previous messages that made me look like a hypocrite. That's fine. The people who made movement also made the Beast worse. Yeah. I also need to watch that too. Like, man, the 90s cartoons were bitching, bro. Like Saturday morning, Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, let's be honest here. Everyone wanted to bang Sally. All right. Don't deny it. That doesn't mean you're a beast. You're into bestiality. That doesn't mean you're a furry. But that doesn't mean that you would not let. I'm just saying. Just saying. Because I also had a. That was also one of my anime crushes, but this wasn't really an anime, but it was cartoon. It was more like my cartoon crush. One of my cartoon crushes back then when I was little was Sally and Bunny. I really like country accents. Like, I don't know why this shit. Like, the accents that turn me on the most is country, British, and Japanese. That shit just turns me on the most. And that's like another thing like a lot of people with the Anti-Loli Coalition doesn't understand. It's like there's more to attraction than just body type. Right? So going over everything I've covered with pedophilia. Oh, actually, no, I didn't actually cover that one article about pedophilia being a preferred age and a preferred body type. So let's go over that article. Almost forgot about that. If I can remember which one that is, I think it's this one. Does pornography cause pedophilia? And this is from a Mormon therapist of the name of Natasha Helfer. So take this as you will. This was posted back in 2010 when the pedophilia disorder was categorized under DSM-4 as opposed to what it is categorized now as DSM-5. I'm wondering if you could help me out with a question about this pornography issue. From everything I have heard and read, pedophiles are generally born with a sexual predilation towards children, which is one of the reasons the recidivism rate among pedophiles is near 100%. They can't change their attraction just like gay people can't, or really anyone else. Obviously, I understand there are exceptions, but it was my understanding this was the rule. Where does porn use fit into this from a scientific standpoint? Anecdotally, I have not personally seen it born out of that porn necessarily leads to criminal deviant behavior. which is basically if you're masturbating to the fake thing, it is incentivizing that you want the real thing. Obviously, it's difficult to measure because people aren't volunteering that they're pedophiles. At the same time, just because most pedophiles have been looking at porn for a long time doesn't demonstrate that that's what made them pedophiles. Realistically, all the men who aren't pedophiles have been looking at porn for a long time as well. So that seems like an unreliable criteria. So where does this leave the question? I respect your opinion a lot and would appreciate your thoughts. This is definitely not my area of expertise, but here are some things I have come across in my training. There may be and probably are genetic biological components to pedophilia, but this does not take away from the high probability that environmental forces affect it as well. A history of sexual abuse, environmental development delays, etc., or some of those people within the Pornhub industry where they were drip feeding trans porn to people to normalize the idea of having sex with trans people. Maybe they know a little something about that. 2, pedophilia is classified as a psychological disorder, or DSM-4. Remember, this is back in 2010. It was categorized as DSM-5 back in 2013. And I forgot the name of the study. It was a difficult disorder to treat, although there are programs and therapies that can be deemed useful. I'm not comfortable comparing pedophilia with homosexuality or heterosexuality orientation, since it is an orientation all of its own, not to be construed as an orientation with the LGBTQ. Right, correlation does not equal causation. Thank you. I'm not comfortable with blah, 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 orientation on its own, and 1 which speaks to serious and social developmental deficiencies. It is considered a disorder, whereas adult-to-adult orientation is not, regardless of whether it is not a hetero or homosexual. And when acted upon, it is always deemed criminal behavior, whereas some adult-to-adult sexual interaction would be ascertained criminal and has nothing to do with the orientation itself. My understanding from the research I have read is that pornography does not cause pedophilia, although it is difficult to completely separate whether or not it could be an environmental factor that could trigger biological or emotional tendencies. Being aroused by having a tendency to watch CP, however, would be considered pedophilic behavior and is usually used as diagnostic criteria. Pedophilia is defined by desire. Pay attention. Pedophilia is defined by a desire towards prepubescent children. Stop dropping off prepubescent and relying on children and or minor and or child. All right? I'm going to repeat that again for the retards in the back. Pedophilia is defined by a desire towards prepubescent children. Not adolescents. A desire for adolescence, like, for instance, Dr. Disrespect, he's not a pedophile, he's a hephebophile. But people go with pedophile because it's catchy. It gets people to click the video. And it gets people into kill mode. It makes them want to do things. But the most thing they can do is just click on the video and support, while also wanting to kill. Therefore, those who are looking at pornography of teens under the age of 18, considered CP and illegal, are not usually pedophiles. Of course, it is still completely inappropriate for an adult to act out sexually towards an adolescent, even if only through pornography viewing, but this is not classified as pedophilia. One can be a pedophile without having acted on the urges. Pornography has been shown in some countries to actually lower criminal behavior. Not CP, by the way. They just mean legal pornography. I want to point that out. Since the pedophile or sex abuser can get their quote-unquote fix by viewing the pornography instead of acting out on the behavior of him or herself. This is why I've always said those who are incentivizing the notion that pornography as a whole should be banned, you are utterly retarded. As a matter of fact, you are incentivizing the population of men within the country that you live in to sexually assault women and children, because if you take away sexual incentives, especially if you're involved within the culture war, I can't necessarily see you advocating for the ban of pornography, right? When you're talking about feminism and how it is infecting the women population to the point where, they don't need no man, they can defend themselves, they can lead the nation, women can also be leaders. If we actually replaced all the leaders of men with women, we wouldn't have any wars, minus the fact that Hillary Clinton literally wanted to start a war herself, and even Kamala Harris herself wanted to start a war herself in the World War III. But I digress. So I want people to actually understand that. All right, understand that. Where else do we left off? One, maybe a pedophile and urges pornography has been shown to fix. Yeah, so if basically I was saying if you are actually advocating for the removal, the ban of pornography, you're actually incentivizing men to sexually assault women and children. So think about that. All right, I want you to think about that. However, these conclusions are controversial, and I'm not sure how often they have been duplicated. Pedophilia has also been around way before modern pornography, at least the way to define the medium today, such as magazine, internet, etc., which is true. Pedophilia is not a new-found problem. This shit goes way back in the fucking Bible. I mean, to cry out loud, Jesus Christ says it opinion of pedophiles, I forgot what book it was. I think it was in Psalms, or was it Matthews? I think it was Matthews. If a person dare harm the hair of a child, tie a boulder to its ankle and cast the boulder into the sea. Like this ain't new, all right? So lolly is not an exclusive fucking thing that you think is CP, as you are. Like, for instance, side scrollers looking up what they believe to be CP and putting on their live stream, which is redistribution, and by their logic, they should be arrested. And by everyone's logic, they should be arrested. But, I'm pretty sure they're going to list their reasons as to why there is such a good little boy, a little pet. Now, I would call them the pet N-word, but, they're not black, so. I guess we can call them the pet, this word. I have some graham crackers on the side of the table that I was snacking on before I was doing the stream. Because I know I can't say that word on here. Just to be fair. A lot of people are like, you can see the word, you can see the word. Well, to be fair, if you actually do believe in free speech, I should be free to say cracker. I'm referring to a food, by the way. And I should be free to say the N-word with a hard R. So long as I'm not directing it towards an individual with some form of intent that says that I am trying to undermine them as a human, I should be free to say that word. Especially considering I'm black. I can't even say my word. Unless I'm part of the progressive movement, then I can call them an N-word. But that's beside the point. Also, what about the ancient Greeks and those statues they made? Yeah, that's pornography. The gods of fertility. I don't think they actually have a god of pedophilia, but I know they have like gods of fertility. And like Rome is a perfect example. Rome is a perfect example of like homosexuality and pedophilia running amok, but I don't see you motherfuckers looking at Rome as a leading example as to why we need to stomp down on pedophilia or anyone of Anglo-Saxon, although I could be wrong on that. I'm not too familiar with like ethnics and where they originally belong, so take that with a grain of salt. But just saying, a lot of people are looking at Rome as an example of, do not replicate. They look at it as an example to replicate, or at least learn from, at the very best, So there is that.
And I definitely appreciated a lot of his expose videos on internet scam artists, such as the Completionist, who I also used to look up to until the dreadful day where we found out about his charity scam that disgraced his mother. But you know what? That's all besides the point. We're going to stick with Mutahar on this subject. I've been tangenting long enough, and I've been confessing long enough. Some time ago, Mutahar and Oompaville,
you're clear on my book, brother.
All three of them got together for Mutahar's new podcast, the Some Ordinary Podcast, in the name of his YouTube channel, Some Ordinary Gamers. This was how I ended up discovering Oompaville and Nuxtaku, and I tried getting into both of their channels. With Oompaville, he just kind of seemed, I don't know, maybe I'm just a hater, I don't know, but Oompaville just never seemed interesting. He just seemed like another cheap copy of a Drew Gooden and, wait a minute, who are the brothers again?
Burback? Wait, who the hell are these people? I know what you mean by Oompaville from that podcast. He was that guy on the top left. YouTube. Eddie Burback. His teacher is so creepy. Really did not age well. Dare, the biggest failure for our childhood. Oh, so you came out with a Mr. Beast video to set the world of ghost kitchens. What the hell is a ghost kitchen? The death of the late night. This man is a villain, Jeff Bezos. I don't blame you. Let's see. What videos we got? Actually, let's look at his older shit. Oh, he was a Vine boy. Let's go. He was a Vine guy. Catch Me Outside, how about that? Logan Paul. Oh my fucking god. Just fall off the face of the planet, please. Did a lot of Logan Paul videos. Jump Cut Academy, I don't know what the hell that is. Couple pranks. Okay. Not a bad resume. Not a bad resume of videos.
Who's the other guy who did the Apple Vision Pro video? Damn it, I need to... Burback, that's right. Okay, yeah, I recommend those two over Oompaville. Oompaville just seems as if he's kind of like a generic version of them. But that's just me. I don't know. I understand Oompaville has his fans, and more power to them. I'm not a hater of him. I'm just going to call out his hypocrisy as well. But then I ended up looking Nux's main channel, but... the one video that I saw was a tier list where he and two other creators were tier listing Pokemon NSFW content, and I just was like, oh, is this just your main content? Like, it's just porn? That's it? Like, I'm out. That's all that I knew about his main channel. But I looked into his stuff with Nux.
I mean, that was pretty much... He was a mixture of, like, watching porn, you know, being a man of culture. He's not a man of culture. He's a boy. Nux is clearly a boy of non-culture. He should not be referred to a man as all in any way, shape, or form. This is not me dehumanizing him. He is still a human. I'm just saying in terms of what he proclaimed to be a champion of, he is no longer a champion of. So he is a boy. Plain and simple.
His reaction video channel, and where he would just cover like modern takes, and I was like, okay, you know what, I can buy this. You seem like a all right guy. I'm willing to listen to your take. You know, you seem very energetic. I can deal with that. Then we move on to the Ava Chris Tyson expose, where it was discovered that Ava Chris Tyson was one of the partnered creators of Mr. Beast. Again, I am not a Mr. Beast main. I do not know enough about the Mr. Beast lore. There are plenty of other channels that you can do for research on both Mr. Beast and Ava Chris Tyson. Again, I don't know how innocent
they also have CP on their channel, by the way, just saying.
Mr. Beast is in the whole situation, but it's pretty likely that a lot of the claims that he was involved with Ava's degenerate behavior, there isn't anything to suggest a concrete connection there yet. And I am willing to bet that Jimmy's only crime is just being completely negligent about the business side of his ventures. But
I can
Chris
agree with
Tyson
that.
was caught.
Because I think a lot of people like forget, like, the guy's a multi-billionaire. Like, being able to run like something like that, like thinking you know everything that's going on around you at all times, is like kind of retarded. But then again, he was in that Well, then again, no, that's not even proof of him being in the Discord, because anybody could have been running that fucking account. So that's not definitively proof of Jimmy being in the Discord. Yeah, because I need a lot more evidence than that.
Creating a NSFW Discord that was full of loli and Shota art, and a heavy emphasis on Shadman specifically. Like, again, these are creators that were supposed to be involved with kids' content. And then to find out that the people in this Discord server were minors. Suspicious. Again, you can look up more details about this on the several exposés on Ava Chris Tyson, and she lost her career for obvious reasons, and, you know, hopefully is cowering in fear, because, again, I don't want to shame people who get into NSFW content, but when you are sharing that content with minors, and if you are promoting content that literally sexualizes minors, sharing it to minors, that has to be steps of grooming. I don't understand how it can't be.
Okay, so what do you mean by actually sharing? I hope we were talking about specifically, because I think he's using Shadman like an umbrella, right? It's kind of like saying no one under no circumstances should be sharing the autobiography of Adolf Hitler, Mein Kampf. Therefore, if you are sharing the content of Mein Kampf, therefore you are a person who believes of the Aryan race, that Aryans are the only people that can run nations and they can build countries, and that only Aryans should be running governments and institutions, because if you use to put anything other than an Aryan within the government institutions, it'll fall to shit. No. As a person who has read Mein Kampf, as a person who has read the Jewish Question by Karl Marx, as a person who has looked at Loli, I am not anti-Semitic. I do not believe in the white race being the best of the best of the best, and that they're the only ones that could be ushered into nirvana. And I do not believe I am a pedophile, because I know for a fact that I do not have sexual attraction towards minors. Oh, excuse me. I'm doing what the anti-lolis do. Prepubescent children. There we go, because, you know, I'm more concerned about the actual issue than they are.
So, of course, Mutahar and the members of the Subordinary podcast decided to chime in. They wanted to do exposés of it themselves, and Nuxtaku, the person in question, who is the connection to all this, Nuxtaku wanted to make a whole reaction to this on his secondary Nuxanor channel, and he basically tried to state that, you know, anything that Shadman was involved in, due to the fact that Shadman used imagery of real children, is that Shadman was disgraced and it should be disavowed.
However, there's a very sketchy personality involved in the story, also known as Shadman.
Oh, it's the Shadman stuff. Okay, so I knew it was Lolly stuff. Okay, so Shadman takes Lolly shit to another level. So Shadman is a Nazi-ish, pedophile-ish fellow, okay? Not actually been necessarily, as far as I know, accused of shit. I know that there have been criminal stuff that's...
I would say take what he says as a grain of salt, because Nux isn't really that good at research, just saying, but he's kind of right on this.
Going on here, but Shadman didn't just draw lolly porn. Shadman drew lolly porn of real life people, like
right.
Keemstar's 10-year-old daughter.
Like, he's making distinctions, clearly making distinctions, and clearly the spreading of like Keemstar's daughter. I do not condone that. Okay, that is the line under no circumstances do I cross. Okay. However, here's the problem. We have people on YouTube who think they have the right and the authority to look up actual CP. You know who else thinks they actually have the right to look up actual CP? Actual pedophiles. And let me bring that little article up. I forgot to actually bring that one up. Hold on, that's the there. Let's see, I think I had it bookmarked under my talking points. Let's see. Yeah, let's jackass. So, if you think you have the authority to look up CP, whether you are a YouTube journalist or a journalist, it doesn't really matter. Unless you are a government official who is planning to shut down said sex trafficking ring and have these people arrested, you should not, under no circumstances, be looking up CP in any way, shape, form, or matter. You're not the authority. You're not God. You do not have a right. And in the event that you are looking up this kind of stuff, and ultimately that is what you believe in, I'm going to make sure I get you arrested. Because you have the proof on your channel. We can agree that anyone shouldn't be showing lolly hentai. Obviously. It's an 18 plus fucking category. I mean, I can't believe it needs to be said, but it needs to be said. You know. Should it really be a crime to look at CP? Written by Rod Little. Emphasis on the little, I guess. But oh, why is it blocked out? I used to be able to read the whole thing. I don't want to register. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I would recommend you actually read this. Actually, should I read this? Yeah, I was reading. I've been reading articles this entire time. Rod Little. I wanted to look at some pictures. I can't take this seriously. Okay. Hold on, let me do something real quick. So people don't think like I'm saying this verbatim or some shit, or like I'm saying this in my perspective of what I want to do. Hold on. Add text reading mode. Reading mode, not my opinion. There we go. Just so people understand, so they don't be like, oh, try to cut me out of fucking context. Be like, oh, look, he's over here talking about he's into this. Oh, it's like, okay, hold on, wait, motherfucker. Do I have to beat your fucking ass in public? For spreading fallacious rumors like that? Apparently I have to. Let's see. I was gonna go with a cool font, but I don't think I have it on this computer, so we're just going to go with... I could have sworn I had it on here. There we go, Mario and Luigi. Oh no, wait, never mind. That's just a... I think it's under SMS. Okay, whatever. I'm just gonna use this. Okay, that's too small. What the hell? I need something where people can read. It's like, why did it went all the way the fuck over here? Okay. Reading mode, not my opinion. Why does it look so blurry? It's because they have it on their font size. We'll just do times one numeral. Why is it so blurry? Okay, we'll just do that. Reading mode, not my opinion. There we go. Gotta protect myself from these jackasses. I wanted to look at some pictures of CP from the internet this week and then tell you all about them, but I couldn't because my stupid modem broke down. I'm not sure how the law, or for that matter, society will view my failure. Okay, this has to be satirical. I'm sorry. The intent clearly was there in mitigation. I suppose I could say I was planning to do it all on your behalf and would gain no pleasure from the operation myself. This sounds like a literal YouTuber who goes out his way looking up CP, like side-scrollers. That's what I could say, in which case perhaps the policeman should turn up at your house instead. Directing blame on the person who is questioning why this person is looking up CP. Okay, that is interesting. Imagine the modem had worked exactly as the smug, acne-ridden computer salesman had assured me it would. Could I have told the police in later courts that my motives were in the glorious traditions of Woodward and Bernstein, James Cameron, and Daniel McIntyre, and other examples, serious campaigning, investigative, and journalism? Sure, call it that, buddy. Would they have scoured the bedroom floor for incriminating evidence to disprove my plea of mitigation? And why exactly is it a plea of mitigation in the first place? Why is it any less exploitive of the unfortunate children concerned for me to download pictures of them and write about it in a harumping fashion for this newspaper? Does it hurt them any more or any less than if I had simply downloaded the pictures for my own gratification? I would be, in my own fashion, gaining from experience, and worst, you might argue, gaining ruminatively. I cannot pronounce that word. That's the black coming out of me. And what about police? They would have to look at the pictures too, and the court officials, maybe the members of the jury, all united in their unbridled repulsion, what if secretly one of them poring over the evidence and sweating slightly rather enjoyed? Okay, does that matter, or as far as the law or society is concerned? The law prohibits, in theory, even an accidental visit to a child to a CP website. But we are told that prosecution would be unlikely to occur if it could be proved that the visit was indeed accidental. How do you prove that? No, really, officer, it was all a ghastly mistake. Well, that wash. Oh my god, this is one weird ass fucking article. Scotland Yard is at present scouring its files for evidence and telephone made to them supposedly by the rock guitarist Pete Townshend. He says he visited a CP website and appalled rang the police to tell them about it. Okay, how did he come across it though? Because if he came across it in like a, I'm just consuming legal porn, and then all of a sudden there's a girl who they say she's 20, but she's actually 16. I don't think that's any of his fault. Like, I don't think that's his fault. But if he's like, oh, some random dude came up to me and gave me a web link to a certified CP website, and he told me to go there, and I went there, and I started clicking on all the videos and shit. So therefore, yeah, that's a person that more than likely has like pedophilia disorder. The first one I'm willing to give some slack to. The second one, not really. Let's see. Does it make it okay then telling the police officer okay afterwards? And I just visit. Okay, wait, I've already read that part. I need to start highlighting this stuff. I get lost when I'm reading. Why? Because it's just Tansha had really enjoyed looking at the pictures. Is it the sexual psyche of the individual we are attempting to legislate against, or the exploitation and the abuse of children? Will the authorities start poking around in Township's mind to discern once and for all what his motive was in downloading the stuff? We know Township enjoys pornography. He has said so. What's more, he wrote what must be the first ever pop song about masturbating to pornographic magazines. Okay. Pictures of Lily. Wait, that's an actual song? Hell, the prosecution risks case for what? Hold on, wait, is that an actual song? Pictures of Lily by, what was that guy's name? That's a band name. Oh, The Who! Yeah, Pete Townshend, the guitarist of The Who, 1967 was included in the album Meaty, Beady, Big and Bouncy. According to Pete, the song's idea, Pictures of Lily. Oh crap. Ah, what the hell? According to Pete, the song's idea was inspired by a picture of an old star, Lily Bayliss, on his girlfriend's wall. The postcard had a handwritten note, here's another picture of Lily. Hope you haven't gotten this one. This sparked Townshend's imagination. He thought everyone has a pin-up period in their lives. Okay, that's a weird analogy you just used there, buddy. Like, interesting. That is such a weird analogy. How absurd the law is, but at least it is an inappropriate reflection of our collective neurosis and confusion about pedophilia generally. The one laudable and necessary aim to protect the children from abuse has become warped by our consuming obsessive hatred for those who find children sexually attractive. There is no casual link between viewing CP and abusing what? Okay, well, this was back in, like, what, 2003? And I think, yeah. Actually, no, yeah, let me take that back. This is actually back in 2003. We didn't have that much information on this. I don't think this is actually, yeah, let me take that back. This is not proof of, like, a pedophile, like, looking up like CP. This is like a person making an article. I hope this person is like in the position of like wanting to protect children, but he's writing like this very satirical. yeah, I think this is a satirical piece of how do you go about protecting children when said person who stumbles upon CP, how do you prove that person just stumbled upon it, you know? It's like, how do these people, you know, when they get wind of like cuties being softcore CP, like what's the justification for them actually wanting to look up cuties, go on Netflix, look it up, and then start watching the damn thing from beginning to end? Or with the idea of Loli being CP, right? What incentivizes a person to go, okay, if Loli is CP, I'm going to go out my way and look up said Loli, who I ultimately believe is illegal pornographic material depicting minors, but I'm perfectly exempt for looking it up and downloading it and uploading it on YouTube or anything like that because, you know, I'm the hero. I cannot be condemned in any way, shape, form, or matter, and therefore you should be on my side. Despite the fact that I have done something very hypocritical. I also love the thumbnail of the stream, instead of you. Yeah, that's just the one thing about that whole thing. Like, he should never put that damn medallion on. I'm gonna send Papa Gut a gift. How certain law is, but at least it is an appropriate reflection of our collective neurosis and confusion about pedophilia generally. This is unlaudable and necessary aim to protect children from what they're consuming. Excessive hatred of those who find children sexually attractive. There is no tangible link between viewing CP. Okay, I think I understand the context of this article. This is during a time where there's not that much information on pedophilia. And he's going off of just an assertion. It's just when I'm reading it in this time of age, he sounds like he's justifying the use of CP. So Rev got this one wrong. I think this, because I got this off of one of his old videos. So yeah, Rev got this one wrong. See? Even Rev get things wrong, guys. How much police time is tied up in the operation or the police investigation, which has so far uncovered the names of 7,000 people who have visited CP websites, and how many children will be protected from the abuse and the result of the prosecutions, no matter how foul we may consider the sexual predilections of pedophiles. We should not be in the business of putting people in prison for simply looking at things. I don't know. I'm confused. Like, yeah, I'm talking to this guy. Like, I'm confused because I feel like he's just making this article based on the lack of information of pedophilia around that time. But then the question is like, does he have like any other type of? No, because he does. Yeah, he does make a point about it being like very Salem. So I think he is of like the opinion of he's going off of a lack of information about pedophilia, and he's making a statement of in order for you to stop crimes against crimes against children, you have to look it up. But by looking it up, you're basically committing a crime. So then, like, what? Okay, so yeah, this is actually the mindset of an anti-Loli. Because they deem themselves morally righteous enough to look up CP and not be hit with possession of CP, redistribution of CP, and downloading CP. Because they're the good guys. Which, I don't know why people think just because, they're the internet and they're a bunch of YouTubers and they're independent journalists, they have the credentials to look up actual fucking CP. And I really don't want to know what type of things they are typing, because, there's a difference between typing in Hatsume no Miku versus a little blue-haired girl being plowed. Like, I'm pretty damn sure their search history is like fucking like it's dirty. Their search history is dirty. I honestly believe Christian practices black magic, considering that sanitary medallions are so cursed. It can the downfall of the YouTube channel and your reputation. Yeah, it definitely hit his reputation, but I don't know. I think Mutahar's still gonna make it through. Like, his reputation definitely took a hit. But like in terms of like making video content on like Linux and a whole bunch of like information security and all that other stuff, he's still in the bag. He just can't talk about shit like this anymore. Because he definitely lost credibility on that.
On by this guy in sexual art, and that is fucked up. That is insanely fucked up. Holy shit. Now, Keemstar is my best friend, which is why I'm extra mortified about all this.
Really, nigga?
But this is crazy. I'm pretty sure Shadman was arrested at some point, too. Like, this is fucking crazy. Oh, God, I don't want to know how Chris was associated with this guy.
But then we fast forward in time to the Cope and Seethe Twitter account. Oh, my God. The amount of scrolling that poor man had to do to collect this Epstein list level of, well, it's poor man.
In light of the Chris Tyson stuff, that it would be interesting to check some of your favorite creators' interactions with Shadman over the years, looking to the native thread.
Had to do to collect this Epstein list level of, well, it's the Epstein list, but for YouTubers, like YouTubers who collaborated or financed or promoted Shadman. And Nuxtaku was one of the people on this list. Because of this, Nuxtaku, of course, rightfully under fire. People found the tweets where him and Shadman were trying to...
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, like, they knew exactly what the hell he was drawing. Because you also have to give, like, some of these people some credence that they just liked his art. They liked how he drew. But they weren't aware of, like, everything he was drawing. Because I think it was, I forgot who it was. I think it was, Shoe on Head. Yeah, Shoe on Head's fucking YouTube profile icon. That's literally Shadman's art. Like, it's a good drawing. It doesn't necessarily mean she's into like pedophilia.
And to collaborate. And Nux's excuse was that he was going to basically put Shadman in an uncomfortable spot via trolling, like he tried to do with Comedy Shorts Gamer. But the thing is that Nux didn't really troll and expose Comedy Shorts Gamer while trying to make him uncomfortable with NSFW content. No, he showed very degenerate NSFW and like Dojin hentai content to Comedy Shorts Gamer for the sake of both of them promoting their channels. That was not trolling, and that was not exposing. So to say that he was gonna do that for Shadman, I don't believe him. Obviously, he had to have a positive connotation-based collaboration between the two. And because of this, Mutahar was on damage control. This is how I ended up discovering the streamer Chud Logic, because when Nux was under fire, and when people were trying to get answers out of Mutahar and Oompaville if the Some Ordinary podcast was under threat because of this expose, Mutahar, in an interview with Chud Logic, basically caved and claimed that, well, you know what? No, I'm just going to play the clip from Nick Andros here real quick. By the way, you should check out his video.
We're not doing the podcast anymore. It's done.
Why?
We're supposed to film on Tuesday. Well, there's a couple reasons for it. A lot of that was obviously some of the Shad stuff too, because we were kind of sitting there, we're like, me and Caleb, we were just like, this is, I don't know, it's weird.
So there you have it. Muta claims that Oompa, him, and Nux were going to end the podcast before the final episode. Whether or not the final episode was actually planned like this is hard to say, because I do know the context that Oompaville had trouble being on for every week of the podcast due to his own personal businesses that he had to manage outside of the podcast. However, I am willing to bet that this statement made by Mutahar was a complete lie from beginning to end, and that they had to improvise the final episode for the sake of appearances. Because while he said to Chud Logic that they were canceling it pre-last episode, no, instead, not even a week later, Mutahar comes back claiming on Nux's channel that, you know, the podcast is still on schedule to have its final episode, and that the reason why Nux and them are separating is not because of the Shadman connection.
Hey everybody, Muta here, and I just wanted to make it as clear as possible. This podcast is not over because of Nux and his situation currently. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple days ago,
it actually is over because of your associating with Nux. I wanted to be charitable to some of the people on the Shadman list, considering some of the people probably interacted with Shadman before the Keemstar situation even happened. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the problem. Like, a lot of people just go, oh, well, in order for me to actually... Why is this back up here? Okay, that was weird. The weird part is, like, And I understand, like, you know, at first glance, you jump on the idea that, you know, these people are pedophiles, but at the exact same time, it's like, there's no proof of this person. Again, you have to look at it in terms of like a clinical lens. Do these people have a preferred age? Do they have a preferred body type? Because the preferred body type is relative to the age. So if you are into 10 or 1, you are into 2 to 5-year-olds. If you're into 10 or 2, you're into 6 to 9-year-olds, I believe. And then if you're into 10 or 3, you're into 10 to 13-year-olds. So if they have a body type, if they have a body type, they have a preferred age. If they have the preferred age, they have a preferred body type. That is clinically pedophilia disorder. And as far as I know, none of those people exhibit that. Even what was that one motherfucker that was on that list? Nicky Berwick, I think that was his name. The guy that doesn't have the working legs and he has to like crawl around on his arms and shit. Like, he doesn't have a preferred body type within 10 or 1 through 3. Which is sexual attraction to specifically an age within 13 to below. So, like I say, a lot of these people going onto this notion of like pedophilia without Ricky Berwick. Thank you. That was his name. Ricky Berwick. Yeah, I don't think he's a pedophile. Even if his name's on the Shatman list. Yeah, we just need to stop the pedo jacketing. It's kind of stupid. And in order for us to actually solve this problem, like, if people honestly are that concerned, the best way to get this like resolved is like everyone fucking get tested, okay? Even the ones that's pointing the fingers, you know, side scrollers, Papa Gut, Keemstar, Sneeko, Andrew Tate, everyone. Everyone just go to the clinic, get tested for pedophilia disorder. If you're negative, that's good. Don't tout it over anybody. If you're positive, we're going to help you. So long as you have not sexually violated the bodily autonomy of a child, because children cannot consent. Because we actually do need to get at the bottom of this. And if we don't get at the bottom of this, the people who actually see this problem, they're just going to grift off of it, and they're just going to make money off of it, and they're not going to ultimately solve the problem. Because generally, most movements, right, and this is the one thing most people need to ask themselves when they're actually joining a movement, is, while the cause is righteous, at what moment do you realize that this movement has gone overboard and it needs to be put down? Because there are movements that need to be put down because they're not really doing anything. They're just existing for the sake of existing to extrapolate money and resources from the wealthy and basically redistribute those resources to the elites. You see what I did there with socialism?
And I wasn't exactly clear as to the ending of the podcast, which really is an ending. Let me be more clear with you.
He does say that maybe he wasn't exactly clear on the stream, but to the people who won't bother to check if he's telling the truth, this looks like a frustrated YouTuber trying to correct misinformation,
especially with that Messi is here.
Cloud chaser who twisted his words to score a big story. Mutahar has the bigger platform and knows that most people will uncritically believe him. The contradiction between Mutahar's statements on Chad's stream and on Nux's video is noticed by many, including Mutahar's friend Turkey Tom.
The most blatant.
Low T-Tom
is noticed by many, including Mutahar's friend.
Why does he look like a cleaner version of Destiny? Do you think that Nick's Fuentes type right there? I don't know. He just kind of, now that Mr. Sin mentions that, ew.
Friend Turkey Tom.
He does look like someone Nick Fuentes would fuck.
The most blatant fucking and obvious lie of the century. And then I watched the entirety of the final episode of the Some Ordinary podcast, and the beginning section where they try to basically wash away any like notion of suspicion on Nux and how they just try to move on and talk about all the other topics of the week. It just made a very bad. It just gave me a very bad feeling. And it just made me start to think about, you know, like all the hard work that I had to do and everybody that I talked to in my personal life about how I had to overcome NSFW addiction. It just made me start to resent the guys because I had to put in work to actually even be sure that I had friends and family to, you know, be able to talk to and depend on. I had to put in the hard work, to be honest. And these guys didn't. No, instead, Mutahar cared about his appearances. He cared about looking honest. He cared about looking like the good guy. He only cared about looking like he cared about kids. It just fucking sucks.
I can definitely understand your frustration there. Yeah, Mr. Sin. Yeah. I can definitely understand his frustration. Like, especially as a person that's a content creator. Well, I can't really call myself a content creator. I don't really do stuff like that. I like making videos, but like I don't really like making it for the point of money, so I can't really say I'm a content creator. But I can definitely understand your frustrations, especially with like people who put on like this fake air of like, you know, being concerned about children, and they're not really concerned about children. Like they don't really talk about like real pressing issues. Especially like my whole thing with like Islam. I was introduced to that whole kerfuffle through David Wood and Apostate Prophet. You guys should definitely follow or subscribe to those two if you want to understand Christianity at a deeper level, and you want to understand Islam, because, you know, they also, thanks to the translations to the hadiths and everything, they actually took the time to actually read the hadiths, and they usually have like sessions where they actually go over the Quran and debunk some of the narratives of the Dollar Boys and them trying to promote Islam as the true religion, when in actuality I do personally believe Christianity is the true religion. You can fight me at that, and I will fight you to the death.
So yeah, without a doubt, I ended up just unsubscribing and not trying to bother with Mutahar's content. And I just moved on from there, especially when I watched the follow-up video from Chud Logic where he noticed how much he was thrown under the bus, basically because Mutahar told him a complete fucking lie.
We haven't done like a full background to look onto what his content is or anything. Obviously, yeah. I was on a few collaborations.
Well, Chud Logic, if you actually had my DARE education back when I was a little kid, you would actually understand not to trust everybody on the fucking internet, now would you?
With him when he was doing like fucking memes and like the game shows with like 15 fucking creators, and that's pretty much the extent of my collaborations.
You probably shouldn't be showing you know, porn like that on a website.
What the? Wait, is this actually on Chud's stream?
Where
like, his chat's still there.
No censor.
Wow, like, you really should not be showing this, dude. Like, shit. Now it's on my motherfucking...
I mean, not this whole thing.
Hold on, what was that?
My takeaway.
Wait, shit.
The motherfucker knows. No disrespect, but I don't really care for religion. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not here to shove it down your throat. If you're into it, you're into it. You're not, you're not.
I mean, not this whole thing on YouTube is like porn reactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, based on what he said, he never made any extensive background checks on Nuxtaku's content or past. He did not know Nuxtaku used pornographic materials in his content, and it should be noted that he said this right after Turkey Tom specified that such material was censored, and obviously not fully in view. During the initial conversation with...
Remember, guys, CP can be shown simply because it's censored.
Chud, from which the entire drama saga started, he characterizes his relationship to Nux as much more distant than the one he has with Caleb, also known as Oomperville, the third host of his podcast, and said that they spoke about Nux's recently revealed Shadman connections and thought it was weird. He also claims to only have made meme collabs with him and has been on game shows with 15 other creators. We won't be exploring those game shows in this video.
I think from that video... Nick Andrews? Oh, okay.
But this is what one of the thumbnails for them looks like. I just thought it was neat.
And I felt like I was taking crazy pills. Chud Logic didn't even know how to fully respond except for, you know, like stating the truth that he was lied to and not try to bother making a whole witch hunt about it. I don't blame him because, you know, there was enough reason for people to fear that, you know, like being under fire by Muta and, you know, at the time of Muta's popularity, that it could have, you know, like destroyed Chud's career if people... Hopefully you guys didn't hear that. That was my stomach just there. Sorry about that.
Perfectly fine.
Chud didn't want to ruin his career.
I'm eating on stream.
He didn't want to speak lies, but at the same time, he didn't want to start a witch hunt against Muta because not a lot of people were in the know except for Turkey Tom, Chud, and probably a few others that I'm not sure of. We fast forward, possibly, I believe, a month or two later, to where Nick Andros, the video clip that I just showed
No, that's actually the funny thing. Turkey Tom and a lot of those motherfuckers do know that shit because they're actually friends with other people. I forgot what that other fucker's name. I think it's Lenunix or something like that. Who also did the exact same thing, saying that Lolly is CP, but the guy is literally a Lolly content creator. I think it was a Lolly content creator, or he actually watches Lolly. It's one or the other. But, like, this is a very recurring theme. And despite the fact that, you know, the studies actually say, like, there really isn't no red flag to this kind of stuff. I'll be honest, a lot of people with this fucking narrative, I want them to get tested. I actually do want them to get tested. And we shouldn't be in no circumstances going after anybody who is tested positive. Because this is a real issue that needs to be addressed.
He managed to gather every single bit of information regarding how Mutahar, Oompaville, Charlie from Moist Critical, and several other creators were completely fine with Nux exposing them to absolute degenerate, like, incest and Lolly and Shota content. Blurred, censored, but again, the fact that he was able to get around the censors to market the videos to kids, as Nick Andros put it, it's fucking...
Yeah, that's the part that just kind of, like... It's not even the fact that he's a Lolly content creator, it's the fact that he was a Lolly content creator putting the shit towards children. And that's why he was sweeping all that shit under the rug.
It's fucking despicable. And not to mention, it's just stupid and fucking infuriating that Muta and Oompa were not willing to admit this. That they were not willing to admit how they were involved in Nux's main channel content. And again, I feel like a fucking idiot because I was too ignorant to even do research on Nux in the first place because I didn't want to bother with his main channel. That's
perfectly fine, dude. Most people who have no interest in people's fucking YouTube don't really find out about this shit in the first fucking place. You know? You're a human being. Not everybody's gonna be able to find or take the time to, like, look up a lot of things unless they're actually interested in the damn thing, and they'll take the time to actually look up, you know, cartels, sex rings, Islam, Prostasia. I think a lot of people don't really know about Prostasia being a non-profit organization where a bunch of pedophiles get together and they talk about their preferred age to have sex with and their preferred body types. A lot of people don't know that. Sure, I did a video on that. It was a really good video. I think a lot of people should watch that.
But to know that it was that extent of Coomerism, wow. Just wow.
Why the hell was Mutahar associating with such an obviously scummy, dishonest, unprincipled guy for so long? Why was he throwing smaller creators under the bus for him? Why hasn't he publicly disavowed him like he has done to much less scummy people?
And here's a better question. Why is he disavowing him simply because of the chat man, but not disavowing Nux for calling Tyga a pedophile and got it wrong? No one finds that kind of weird? That Mutahar is more inclined to trying to separate from Nux, not because he's a bad friend, but because he tries to associate with someone like Shadman. I'm just saying, bro.
Reacted to Harmful's video on August 9th. This resulted in such an eventful day that I cannot possibly justify cutting as much as I would have to in order to fit it into this video.
I'm getting grilled.
Now we fast forward to where plenty more people have finally figured out the lies of Muta, the whitewashing of history that him and Oompaville had between him and Nux.
Let's be honest, a lot of people, like Rev said, Desi actually figured this out way before fucking Chad did, so let's just be honest here.
And I find out without even I didn't even know that Muta even made this video. The post-Nux Clarity video, I haven't watched it, and I don't even know if I'm able to find a re-upload. No, I'm pretty sure there actually
there's a
re-upload,
re-upload,
but I haven't watched it yet. But the fact that he was willing to throw Nux under the bus, like almost a couple months later, because Nick Andros called him and Oompa out on their shit. And then to see that Muta makes this desperate as fuck
Regarding the last video about Nux, while I can be a friend after some of the recent things that surfaced, I do feel I did do an overreaction that stemmed from being an emotional on the reaction from the community on Reddit. I've been watching my content for the past few weeks, and I realized my channel has slipped into a slop channel for the past 14 years or some shit and some change. I have made more drama-related content over the last several months, which is a goddamn lie, that I have fun, engaging, informative content. That includes producing videos that I don't release daily. I need to take more time and release content a couple times a week, and that stands in quality and not quantity. I don't do this for the job, so which is a goddamn fucking lie. You do this for the job. Stop fucking lying. I don't do this for the job. I don't do it for the money. I do it for you. So honestly, going out of my way to constantly chase trends has done nothing beneficial for me, other than alienate my most hardcore fans that I've been walking over this entire time. I need to take a few days off and reset and produce better content that isn't the latest trends or internet drama, despite the fact that it's the only thing you're only gonna click on, because let's be honest, actually, that's actually a really good point. Let's look at some ordinary gamers and see, let's find a video that is like in his field, like IT or something like that, and compare it to something of like internet drama videos, right? I wouldn't consider that's actually pertaining to his field, you know, banning children from the internet situation. This one, 937k views. Okay, now let's find a video. Let's find one of his older videos, since, you know, it's been a while, related to IT, and see how much did that get. It's like, where's the sort by upload date? Oh my god, just give me the oldest. Duration. No, that's this year. Take that off. Actually, let's do view count. I think that'd be a lot better. So his most viewed video was 3 years ago. Save this kid scam. Drama. Yeah, here's a video of like pertaining to what he used to be known for, like 9 years ago. Which is basically, you know, like deep web, dark video type of things, like, you know, creepypastas and stuff like that. This one has 2.3 million views. But like the drama shit has 2.8 and 2.9 million views. So this really shouldn't hurt him that much. Like this one has drama 2.3, boogie drama 2 million, drama million, close to 2 million. See, here's a recent example of like his recent field that he's an expert in. 1.4 million, which is far less than his drama videos. Actual issue, way less views. 1.4 million. Situation is getting worse. Drama. Actually, I don't think that's drama. You know, the Mr. Beast video. So he jumped on the Mr. Beast thing like twice. So his first video came out with 1.2, and then the other one came out 2.4. They're holding your money. He jumped on the completionist, which is drama, 1.1 million. Oh, that's really low. Drama. He does something related to this field and only gets 1 million views. So this is a pretty good example that, yes, he was following trends, and that if he goes back to doing what he was originally doing, which is basically like internet security and creepypasta, he's not going to get those numbers like he was hitting with drama videos, that's for damn sure. And he's going to slink right back into that fucking trend anyways.
To post, like a YouTube community post, which he doesn't normally fucking do, by the way. He was willing to have his entire apology in a written post and claim that he is not going to do drama content anymore because as a reaction to this. No, here's the thing, Muta. Getting rid of drama content on your channel is not going to fix the problem. The problem is that you lied and that you were not willing to publicly, on a video, state that you didn't tell the truth and that you're sorry.
Exactly.
You could have just taken the L, like you said, you could have taken the L and moved on.
I think if you're in that camp, if you ever interacted with Chadman, just completely own up to it once, take the fucking L and move on, but that's just weird. I mean, there's no reason to really hide it unless, like, the interaction was more deeper than it was initially let on.
Really, nigga?
That's all you had to do. That's all you had to do. Because you know what I did that you'd had
that
no
is
right
a
to do? I took the L for admitting how bad my fucking addiction was years ago. I'm not a saint, but for God's sake.
You're a brave man for doing so, because some people will kill you if they saw you.
Like, I'm sick and tired of seeing all the lies and the fucking posturing. It's just, this is like you gave into celebrity culture. It doesn't matter that you did things outside of YouTube to make sure that YouTube was not your main source of revenue. You still cared enough about your public image online that you were willing to spread misinformation, and you were willing to almost throw Chud Logic under the bus, which you did apologize for, but still, fucking stupid. Once again, I have no idea, like, how to... I just have no idea, like, why this keeps happening. Why do I keep finding creators that inspired me to keep doing this channel, and why do they keep fucking up like this?
Well, it's because the internet...
Like is that how bad this is?
Well, no. Well, see, here's the thing. The internet's a big place, you know? It's not just, the people that live in your country or the people that live in your state. We're talking about everyone around the fucking world. And a lot of people have a lot of problems in their fucking backyards, and a lot of people don't want to fix the problems in their own backyards. They want to look at other people's backyards and say that you need to fix your fucking problems. So a lot of people want to look at Japan and say, oh, they're the leading people of sexual assault towards women. Meanwhile, Ireland literally has a rate per capita of like 23.1. Don't get me started on that. It's not an issue of you're going to fall into these things. Right, Jones? Because obviously you like the type of person that'll hold yourself accountable. Granted, that's not enough for me to trust you, but at the same time, I do appreciate you coming out with your anecdotal experience. The problem is a lot of people, I don't know why. Oh, wait, I do know why. It's because of culture war, internet politics, and the mainstream media constantly lying to us. And people honestly feeling that because mainstream media lies to us, it's now to independent content creators like Tim Pool and a whole bunch of others in like anti-woke spaces. It's up to them to carry the water of what real journalism really is. But the problem is that I would say, in my personal opinion, independent YouTubers are far more biased than mainstream media. At least when it comes to mainstream media, there's a multitude of fact checkers. There is at least a group of people that fact check what the writers are writing underneath their nose, unless all those factions and all those checks and balances are invaded in terms of political bias, they're going to look the other way. as opposed to a YouTuber who is an independent journalist, quote unquote. They can fuck up, and there's nothing keeping them in check, and they usually work by themselves. They don't have a team. They don't have fact checkers. They don't have proofreaders. And the only people that keep them in line is their audience, who is also biased. So with that being said, that's far... YouTube independent is far worse than mainstream coverage. They're not equal, but they're definitely not uncorruptible. I don't know why a lot of people think like this is not an uncorruptible field for some reason.
I hope not. There's a reason why I don't upload every day. There's a reason why I don't upload every week. I have a personal life. I have friends and family that I gotta look out for. I have a fucking kid that I gotta look out for. So yeah.
Wait, you have a kid? Yeah, you need to be focused on that, bro. Like, oh man. Well, let's hope the people who didn't get through towards the end of this fucking video and realize you got a kid, because they're definitely gonna be like, oh god, he's into the degenerate stuff. He watches Sailor Moon and Berserk. Oh my god, someone save his kid. It's like, okay. First of all, I'm pretty sure he's logical enough to realize not to get his kid and that kind of stuff. And second, and here's a little advice from me to you, Jones. If you're watching this, if you ever watch this, and if you ever got to this point of 3 hours and 12 minutes of the stream, you can mitigate it, but you cannot prevent it. Let me say that again. You can mitigate it, but you cannot prevent it. Now, what do I mean by that? In the event that your child, as they're growing up, comes across sexual material, sit them down, have a conversation with them, let them know that under no circumstances you are not to be watching this in any way, shape, or form, no ifs, ands, or buts. And you have to be firm about this. And when I say firm, you have to establish clear, concise lines on what is okay and what is not okay. Because the one thing you definitely don't want to do is that you don't want to be too overprotective of your kid. Because then when your kid breaks away from that and they start going into the stuff that's not that bad, they're going to have resentment towards you as if you've been lying to them this entire time. And that's the one thing you definitely don't want to do. So you definitely want to set a clear, this is what you can do, this is what you're allowed to watch, but this is not what you're allowed to watch until you hit a certain age. Do that. Because you definitely don't want to make an enemy out of your kid. Because it sounds like you're aware of like the DEI and wokeism and all that other stuff. That is what woke people prey upon. They prey upon the idea of you and your kid have a bad relationship. And that person who is a stranger to your kid is the entire world to your kid, who unveils the truth of the gnosis of how the world truly works and how it should operate. You definitely don't want to push your kid that hard, because if you push your kid that hard, they're going to be up in your enemy's hands. And then when they're in your enemy's hands, that's it. It's no longer your kid, it's their kid. So you definitely want to be careful with that.
It's just fucking sad. And, everybody has the right to call me, like out on my shit. And everybody has the right to say that, I know better because of how I acted when I was 17. I get it. But you know what? Somebody's got to be fucking honest. This is me, African Jones. And I'm going to see you guys again in one of my few essays or another rant video. We'll see what happens next. Peace.
I honestly appreciate his video. At least he's not like one of these moral grandstanding type of people trying to grandstand on the idea that he's the morally righteous one. He's the person that would lead you to the nirvana, right? Of a grand utopia where no child can be sexually exploited exploited, while he literally has a history of like sexually exploiting children. At least he's not like that, you know, or he has some type of form of hypocrisy. At least he came out with that kind of stuff, you know. And I appreciate people like that, and we need a lot more like this guy right here, because if we don't have that, and we constantly have this kill on sight culture, which I blame Gideon for that, because he actually does advocate for that type of culture. We would be able to solve like pedophilia, but you know, despite the fact being a first world country, it seems like first world problems require third world solutions. But you know, I digress. I also had some other articles I actually wanted to go over, especially this one with Innocent Lives Foundation about pedophilia and CP, a surprising connection. It actually goes over a lot of other information about pedophilia as well that I also want to go over. So what is pedophilia? Pedophilia is, again, a diagnosable disorder where individuals have sexual fantasies or act out sexually with prepubescent, 13 and under, typically aged 13 or younger. They can be sexually attracted to both sexes regardless of their own sexual identity. Pedophilia falls under paraphilia, which is a condition where individuals experience sexual arousal and gratification through fantasizing or engaging in a sexual activity that is extreme or atypical. It is hard to know the numbers regarding pedophiles, considering the large number of those unwilling to identify as such, but the highest estimate is that about 5% of men are pedophiles. So that's 5% of the U.S. population, 300,000. Well, about 300,000, 300 million. Forgive me, I'm black. Divided by 0.05. That's a lot of pedophiles. Wait, did I do that right? Should be like 6 million. Yeah, 300 million. Divided by 0.05. Yeah, 6. Why does this say 6 billion? That should not be 6 billion. Oh, wait, never mind. I'm slow. I don't know how to math. Times 0.05. 15 million pedophiles within the U.S. Logistically speaking. And that's probably not even like... That's probably a low estimate or a high estimate. So that's rather interesting. It is considered a large number of unwilling... Okay, I'll write that part. The neurobiological biology of pedophiles. The Encyclopedia of Interpersonal Violence explains that sex offenders typically have lower IQs than those who are not sex offenders. Therefore, the younger the victim, the lower the IQ of the sex offender. That's interesting. Also, the encyclopedia reveals that it is common for pedophiles to have suffered head injuries or have been victims of sexual abuse for children. However, being a victim of sexual abuse or assault as a child does not guarantee growing up to be a pedophile. Rather, the majority of the survivors do not grow up to become pedophiles. Not to mention, the encyclopedia shows research that suggests there are differences in brain structure and the amount of white matter between pedophiles and non-pedophiles. Ultimately, when it comes to the brains of pedophiles, the encyclopedia emphasizes the structure of the brain, history and head injury, and cognitive ability. Although there is not a causal relationship between these attributes and pedophilia, there is a significant evidence that suggests a relationship between these variables. Pedophile profile, Thomas G. Planty, PhD, a professor of Santa Clara University and Stanford University, explains that pedophilia pedophiles do not fit in just one stereotype. In fact, he explains that pedophiles can be rich, poor, educated, married, straight, socially skilled, or not. Plus, they can be educated and share religious beliefs with the society in which they live. Pedophiles do not fall under just one category, and they often surprise people when they get caught. Usually, people they know do not see it coming. Pedophiles and CP, after understanding more about what it means to be a pedophile, the question is how that relates to CP. Are pedophiles the only people watching CP? The short answer is no. However, there is more than this than you might expect. Viewing CP can be an indicator that the viewer is a pedophile, but it is not a precondition of those who watch CP. Anti-Loli, keep your ass in check. As we have discussed before, the typical consumer of CP is a white male with no prior convictions. Considering the prevalence of CP, logically does not make sense that only 5% of the male population consumes all of CP, and there is research to support this logic. And a lot of people are probably going to look at this line, especially if you're like an anti-woke right-winger, and feel like they're personally attacked. Now you know how it feels to be black. Take that, okay? So, any person who wants to bring up all, the usual suspects, also leave that comment within videos of like white men preying on children, and we'll see how they fucking like it. Pornography progression. While the motivations for those who view CP vary, it is worth noting that there are many reasons individuals engage, so they cannot all be classified the same way. Plus, it is essential to understand that pornography itself can lead to individuals watching CP. As we have mentioned in previous posts, when individuals begin to view pornography continuously, they become used to what they watch. However, after a while, they get drawn into a cycle where they need more and riskier pornography to maintain the high that they get from watching it. So that little notion that you guys say that the fake thing wants you want the real thing as much as possible, that is a lie. That is a lie. Porn doesn't make you want the real thing. It makes you want something a lot more stronger than what you were currently viewing. It is a progression, not an incentive. It is a progression. It is a series of progressions. The content can escalate to orgies, BDSM, bestiality, and yes, CP. Some individuals have reported that they do not like or enjoy the more severe types of pornography, but they feel a need to view it anyways. Studies have explained that it is like a drug addiction, and this, again, it goes for porn addiction rather than the condemnation of an entire Japanese population. Where people need more and more to get the same high, although there is debate surrounding whether individuals can truly be addicted to the pornography or if it's just a compulsory. There is no question that legal pornography, when used or abused, is a catalyst for CP. Moving forward, the bottom line is that there has been an increase in CP online. Offenders have multiple reasons for viewing, all unacceptable, of course, and pedophiles are not only ones watching it. CP will not end if we do not take action to stop it. Here at the Innocent Lives Foundation, we are dedicated to identifying perpetrators and turning them over to law enforcement. And for the love of God, do not report fake stories to these people because you are burning resources, and for every fake story, that is $1 billion are being wasted on something that on a nothing burger, and that truly indicates that you are not really concerned about real children. You're just burning money. So I think that was the only one. And then there was this other article. This is a study on that. Whoop! Went a little too far there. Oh man, a little bit too far there. Well, it is educational, so I don't think it would actually be considered something. I'm not making money off this anyway, so But yeah, there's a study by the NIH, National Library of Medicine. The neurobiological and psychology of pedophilia, recent advances and challenges. This was conducted in 2015. So this is also another study you should also read. This is the one I also read as well. And this is a study, and this is an article on in the UK. I should read this. I don't know. I've been doing a lot of reading. I'm thirsty as hell. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over, especially with the whole Mutahar thing, and especially with this guy, because I feel bad for him because he's beating himself up, but I feel like he needs to. Like, a word of advice. You sound like you're going through a lot of depression, anxiety, and you may not know how to actually get out of that. Find a focus. And once you find it, focus on it. Get it done and achieve it. Okay? As a person who also came from depression and anxiety, right? I almost ended my own life a couple of years back when I was going to college. Almost jumped off the second story floor at the UC at my college. I didn't have any health insurance at that time, and the principal at that college gave me an ultimatum to either A, go get treatment and just rack up a fucking bill, or B, be kicked out of the campus. I should have just walked out the fucking campus, to be honest, considering my degree didn't do anything, and I'm making a lot of money without the degree, so there's that. But if there's something that would honestly help you get over your feeling despair or feeling doubt about yourself, and you feel like you're questioning yourself, find something you're really good at and just become a professional at it. And put all your hope and dedication into it. And if you haven't found anything, find it. Like, you're a pretty young dude, bro. Like, coming from someone who's 36 years old here, you're young as fuck. You got a long life ahead of you. You can't even afford a fucking house at this point. So, I would recommend you acquiring a skill. Something that's outside the realm of making YouTube videos, Like for me, for instance, I'm very proficient at repairing computers and desktops. All right? I've been 12 years within this field of work. When I was at my first job for about 4.5 years, at the end of that tenure, I'd had a 200% efficiency quality with a below 1% looper rate, which means once the device is repaired and it goes back to the customer, it doesn't come back within the next 30 days. So I'm really good at what I do, all right? I also was an engineer at that time who was also escalation. And that was like that was a very taxing experience with everyone. Because the way the computer repair works, there's 3 types of workers, right? You have normies, experts, and shysters. Normies, they're okay with repairing computers until it's something that's like above their fucking league, like repairing a touchscreen or a camera issue, or something that actually requires a little bit of IT experience in order for actually in order for you to fucking address it. They can't do that. Experts, title explains itself. I'm one of them. We have a vast knowledge of how to repair Lenovo, HP, and Dell's. They're basically all the same, to be honest. Except for Lenovo. Lenovo's is rather, with all those bells and whistles and those tablet modes and all that shit, Lenovo's is rather complicated. And it comes with a lot of fucking issues. But their laptops are not that bad. And then you have the shysters who don't want to work. They don't want to work as hard. And even a simple repair as replacing a motherboard, if the motherboard itself does not resolve the issue, they'll continue replacing the motherboard and saying that there's something wrong with the motherboards, and they'll expect you to figure it out while they go around looking for easy stuff like keyboards, memory receipts, people's images, bad hard drives. So long as it's not like a Yoga 260 or anything like that, where it has like a hard drive connector and all those extra components to a hard drive. They look for like easy hard drive failures, and like a T460 or something like that, where it doesn't have all those extra components, where it's just the hard drive connector is like built into the motherboard and you just pop that in there. They look for those kind of things. And when I say shysters do not like to work, I am not kidding you. Okay? These are people that if they had a camera issue, if they had a choice between resolving a camera issue or a Yoga 260, X260, or sexually molesting a child in public, they would do the latter. That's how a lot of people had a lot of stigma around those models. They would do the unthinkable before they actually touch something they don't want to touch. And I was really good at that. Repairing those type of models, XT20, XT30, tablets, the notebook models, like the whole line of Lenovo. I know it in and out because Lenovo's newer models are just they're not any different from the previous ones, and they're all practically the same. The only difference is like one has the little rubber trackpad in the center, and then one doesn't. And it's just, I don't know. They're not bad laptops, but as a person who has 12 years of experience from that job, and then I worked at FedEx Tech Connect, and then I worked at Ingram Micro, and now I got my current job, which I am repairing laptops and desktops at around schools, and it's like the best job I've ever had, like the best job I have ever fucking had. And it's like the freedom of just being able to like just go wherever the hell you want. Well, not really, not go wherever you want, but basically go out. You're not stuck in like a warehouse from like 9 to 5. Like you're going out, you get your calls, you go to the school. It takes like 20 minutes to go to the school. It takes 30 minutes to go to that school. You get miles reimbursement, which is pretty good. And yeah, like compared with all the other jobs I ever had, like this is like heaven. Like I honestly feel like I've actually found my dream job. I just really regret the fact that I went to college. Because I developed all those skills in like computer diagnostics at my first job. Because I had a really good trainer. And we would like, especially with the XT20, XT30 tablets, we'd have top to bottoms. We'd call them birthday cakes. Basically, you repair the whole laptop from like top to bottom, like the LCD, the back cover, the bezel, the hinges, the antenna, the wires, all the way down to the bottom section where the keyboard, the palm rest, the base cover, the motherboard, the PCI network card slots, stuff like that. And we would have to get like 18 to 21 of them out per day during EDU season. That's when like the schools are out for summer. And they send all their broke ass laptops because their badass fucking kids can't fucking seem to not break the fucking shit. But I'm not gonna blame them with the X220, X230 model because the way you open that damn thing up, a lot of people tend to grab the antenna that they think is a handle, but it's not a handle, it's actually the antenna. And the way that back cover is actually designed, it has like a very thin layer design and a very thin layer of plastic. And you're constantly, and that hinge is like really tight. And when you're pushing up on it, you're basically causing a fracture to slowly form along that crevice in the design of that back cover. And then sooner or later, as you're doing it more and more and more, and that hem gets tighter and tighter and tighter, all of a sudden, snap. And they end up breaking it. So, you know, a lot of people don't open it with their hands on the screen. They open it on the antenna. So it's kind of weird. But, you know, find a purpose. And I think that is the main thing that a lot of people need to do in order for them to actually beat depression and anxiety. You know, and hell, I would even say like pedophilia disorder, like finding a purpose in life that you can be proud of is a really good distraction. If you spend more time trying to perfect your craft than, you know, trying to sexually assault children. But that's pretty much all I have to say. Excuse the messy room here. I just woke up. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Glad you guys came in. Zilla, nice seeing you again. Take care of yourself, my guy, and everybody else. Much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you guys next time. If I have anything else that I actually want to talk about, maybe if I discover like some type of new study that they're coming out with in terms of pedophilia, we'll talk about that. But generally, that's pretty much going to be it. So you guys take care, be safe, and catch you later.